folks, the story's going to be written. And I'm going to be one of the people that's going to do the writing here today. No one else is going to figure this out. But we've already got it sussed, as the English say. What really happened with Matt Gaetz? Well, my friends, crusaders across the amber waves of Biden's renovation, you're going to have to hang around to find out. Because we know what happened here on the Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network on a Friday. Free Phone Friday, asking the question of the day.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Well, I can't wait to tell you. You'll find out.
Oh, and remember, Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, you know, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
It's free phone. It's free phone.
Yes, it is a free phone Friday. Yay, day you were charged with the task of telling us what it is we shall talk about here on the program. Telephone number to take me up on this kind, benevolent, beneficent offer use of these radio airwaves. Give us a call sometime when you have no class. 844-527-8723. 844-5-CRUSADE. Email address, same as it ever has been, iamkingdude@protonmail.com. Crusader Stadium chat room open at crusadechannel.com/chat. I would normally tell you that the store is open, but the store was migrated to a new server, so just in time for Christmas and the Merry Manly Christmas contest to make sure that it was running optimally and as fast as it possibly could or can, and it is. But it's down for maintenance for a couple hours this morning, they're telling us. So we'll get it up probably shortly after Free Farm Friday. At any event, glad to have you with us out here, Oldham.
Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Friday, November 22nd, 2024. This report is brought to you by Miles Franklin Precious Metals. With over $10 billion in sales and over 3 decades of experience, Miles Franklin will handle all your precious metal needs. For the Mike Church Show special price list, email them info@milesfranklin.com. In the market report, all 3 major indexes closed up again. The Dow Jones was up 1.06%, the S&P 0.53%, NASDAQ was up 0.03%. In National Day calendar news, it was on this day that President Kennedy was assassinated. It was also in this day in 1963 that Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn in as the 36th U.S. president after Kennedy's assassination. In 1989, on this day, NASA launched Space Shuttle Discovery on a classified mission for the Department of Defense. Today is also Substitute Educators Day, and it's National Cranberry Relish Day. Believed to have originated in the New England states during the early 1900s, cranberry relish is a traditional part of many families' Thanksgiving dinner. Our quote of the day: "Everything I own really belongs to the poor," St. Elizabeth of Hungary. And our saint of the day, St. Cecilia. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
Hey, it's the King Dude for My Pillow. Mike Lindell sent me my first set of My Pillows 14 years ago. I loved them then, and I still love that same set of original My Pillows today. True story. Now, that's a testament to the craftsmanship and quality of the My Pillow. But don't take my word for it. Go try it for yourself. Use my unique code and get huge discounts and free shipping on all orders by going to mypillow.com/KingDude. That's mypillow.com/KingDude. Hey, it's Mike Church, and I'm here to tell you how you can enjoy this whole show in crystal clear stereo and without annoying messages like this one. Sign up for a Founders Pass membership for the grand total of 0.0. All we ask is your name and email address. No credit card needed. To sign up, go to crusadechannel.com/offer. Once you're a premium member, you can pull a Braveheart and shout, "Let my ears be brave!" Treat your ears today at crusadechannel.com/offer. Hey folks, it's the King Dude. You know that thing that you just can't cook without? You know, the thing you call your bread and butter, or should I say, your beast and butt rub. Now, my seasonal is quickly becoming a kitchen essential for hundreds of American families. And how do I know? Because they've told me so. It's perfect on veggies, eggs, popcorn chicken, and of course, pork ribs and butts. Make every meal a King Dude masterpiece with a sprinkle of flavor that you can count on. Grab yourself a bottle or better yet, a six-pack at shop.mikechurch.com.
If women living near rivers and taking a pill turns the frickin' frogs gay, imagine what happens to men on the same river who don't listen to Mike Church.
We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. I've still commitments while I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other guy. I just want to tell you how I'm feeling.
You watch, videos are going to come out today. Mark my words. We should actually do it. Videos are going to come out today of Trump doing the Trump dance set to Rick Astley. You watch. My friends, this is why you tune in to the Mike Church Show here on the Crusade Radio Network, as we reveal things to you that nobody else will, or people just didn't think of. BK, and then there's the bonding nomination. And then here's the big one. The Pentagon loses $824 billion. How do you lose $824 billion? There's a never-ending trough of printed money, and you don't care about it. By the by, I saw this the other day, and I didn't get it because the show was almost over. I will try to squeeze it in, but we're going to read from Vivek Magaswamy and Elon Musk editorial in the Wall Street Journal yesterday about how Doge is actually going to work. Someone was asking about the testimony in Josh Hawley's committee about the interest rates and about Trump's plan to reduce what's owed down to 10%. I'll tell you all about it next segment. Back in the heyday of broadcast TV, NBC called its Thursday night lineup must-see TV. That was then, and this is now. And the only must-see TV is The Mike Church Show, now simulcast live on Roku, YouTube, and Rumble. But if you miss an hour or a day, you can watch that entire show whenever you want when you become a Premium Founders Pass member. Sign up today and access my 2,000-plus podcast. So many, I can't even get my mom to say that she listened. Go premium today at crusadechannel.com/offer.
The Crusade Channel On Demand presents the Deliver Us From Evil tapes, the series featuring former NYPD Sergeant Ralph Sarchi.
What's more perplexing to me is how nobody in the family got out of those beds. There was no evidence that they were shot in other places. There was no blood splatter to prove the theory that they were moved.
The Deliver Us From Evil tapes, the series featuring Ralph Sarchi, real-life stories of the battle against the underworld, demons, and the people they prowl the world looking to ruin. Exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Listen or download the Deliver Us From Evil tapes, Piercing Truth, the Mike Church Show compilations, Mike's feature recordings, and hundreds of other titles in the Crusade Channel On Demand store at crusadechannel.com.
If you want to drastically improve your company's training with bite-sized content that's engaging and customized for the skills your people actually need, well then Learny is for you. You see, Learny's mobile app gives you the flexibility to train your workforce anytime, anywhere. Now I use Learny and so should you. Book your free demo today at learny.com/KingDude. That's learny.com/KingDude.
Take a break from the outrage porn on most social media and join the laid-back live talk and chat room radio that is the Midday Show with Fiorella De Maria. Weekdays, 11 noon Central on the Crusade Radio Network. Live talk radio the way it should be.
We all have concerns about the future of America and your family's survival in any emergency. Hi, folks, it's Mike Church, and my friends at Legacy Food Storage take your concerns seriously and will help you prepare for almost any disruptions, from survival gear, power and lighting, to emergency food, and they specialize in educating their clients. Secure your family's emergency plans with the trusted leader, Legacy Food Storage, at legacyfoodstorage.com. Use the coupon code KingDude for 10% off, and every order is shipped for free.
The Crusade Channel On Demand presents the Deliver Us From Evil tapes, the series featuring former NYPD Sergeant Ralph Sarchi.
Father Pecораro's identity corroborate and legitimizes the horrifying event of the Lutz's ordeal at 112 Ocean Avenue.
The Deliver Us From Evil tapes, the series featuring Ralph Sarchi. Real-life stories of the battle against the underworld, demons, and the people they prowl the world looking to ruin. Exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Listen or download the Deliver Us From Evil tapes, Piercing Truth, the Mike Church Show compilations, Mike's feature recordings, and hundreds of other titles in the Crusade Channel On Demand store at crusadechannel.com.
Hey, it's the King Dude for My Pillow. Mike Lindell sent me my first set of My Pillows 14 years ago. I loved them then, and I still love that same set of original My Pillows today. True story. Now, that's a testament to the craftsmanship and quality of the My Pillow. But don't take my word for it. Go try it for yourself. Use my unique code and get huge discounts and free shipping on all orders by going to mypillow.com/KingDude. That's mypillow.com/KingDude.
Fire and Ice Middays are here. Get animated by the fire of Parrot Talk and the ice-cold chill-out of Turley's Believe It or Else and Fiorella Middays show. The Fire and Ice Midday block begins at 10 Central on the Crusade Radio Network. Live talk radio the way it should be.
Did you know it took centuries to develop the Hail Mary prayer? First, the monastics began adding, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you, to the end of their psalm readings. Later, Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus, was added. And by the 15th century, the Hail Mary was complete and took the place of the 150 Our Fathers many prayed daily. Today, the work of art that is the Rosary is cherished by millions, and there is no finer maker of this art than Maggie O'Connell's Little Bayou Rosary. Find her rosary creations today at shop.mikechurch.com.
Attention Coffee Police Academy students. We will now call the roll. CPA candidate Jones.
Present.
Joe Arabica Friday.
Present.
Tommy.
Oh, I'm here, sir. I just can't seem to keep my eyes open since I started drinking this Barrett Bargain Basement Stale Bean Water.
And just why are you violating CPA coffee code SPW1AM?
Well, that's easy. So I can save up money to get into the Coffee Cop Academy.
Son, breaking CPA rules so you can get into CPA is no way to become a coffee cop. Now, I'm afraid we're going to have to...
Uh-oh. Sounds like Lou has found the academy, and he's on his second cup of Abbey Roast.
Well, what does he want?
He wants to know why the CPA didn't recognize his Rougarou nouns.
Rougarou nouns? And I'm the one that rejected his application.
Will Lou the Roo Guru have his revenge and grind the coffee cop into espresso? Stay tuned to this station for our next episode. And in the meantime, order Abbey Roast Coffee at shop.mikechurch.com.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Friday, November 22nd, 2024. This report is brought to you by Miles Franklin Precious Metals. With over $10 billion in sales and over 3 decades of experience, Miles Franklin will handle all your precious metal needs. For the Mike Church Show special price list, email them info@milesfranklin.com. In the market report, all 3 major indexes closed up again. The Dow Jones was up 1.06%, the S&P 0.53%, NASDAQ was up 0.03%. In National Day calendar news, it was on this day that President Kennedy was assassinated. It was also in this day in 1963 that Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn in as the 36th U.S. president after Kennedy's assassination. In 1989 on this day, NASA launched Space Shuttle Discovery on a classified mission for the Department of Defense. Today is also Substitute Educators Day, and it's National Cranberry Relish Day. Believed to have originated in the New England states during the early 1900s, cranberry relish is a traditional part of many families' Thanksgiving dinner. Our quote of the day, "Everything I own really belongs to the poor," St. Elizabeth of Hungary, and our saint of the day, St. Cecilia. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
Do you hear that, Maggie?
Do I hear what?
You don't hear the sound of bees buzzing about?
No, I see the result of that buzzing about and these beautiful new beeswax candles.
We sell candles now?
Not just any candles. These are handmade beeswax candles.
Well, that explains me imagining bees.
And they come in different sizes. There's a votive, a 3-day, and a 7-day size too.
Well, that should start a buzz in the store.
It better, or you'll get the buzz.
Order handmade beeswax candles today while supplies last at shop.mikechurch.
Hey guys, you got a minute?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
It's about my dad. He wants to have a sex change operation.
Whoa, I knew he was gay. I didn't think he was that gay.
No, Peter, he's not gay. He's a woman stuck in a man's body.
Yeah, gay.
It's totally different.
Sounds the same.
Well, it's not.
Okay, so he wants to be a woman so he can be a lesbian?
No, he'd date men.
Gay.
Yeah, gay.
Okay, this is not the help I came over here for.
Well, look, let's just all agree that he's odd, huh?
He has an appointment Friday with Dr. Hartman to have the procedure, and he wants me to go with him. I don't know if I can handle that.
Well, I'm sure your friend Peter would be happy to come along for moral support.
All right, but look, here's the deal. Anything he lops off, we get to bring home for Brian.
That's very green of you, Peter.
I do feel, Reg, that any anti-imperialist group like ours must reflect such a divergence of interest within its power base.
Agreed. Francis? Yeah, I think Judith's point of view is very valid, Reg, provided the movement never forgets that it is the inalienable right of every man or woman to rid himself or herself. Agreed. Thank you, brother. Or sister. Where was I? I think you finished. Oh, right. Furthermore, it is the birthright of every man or woman. Why don't you shut up about women, Stan? You're putting us off.
Women have a perfect right to play a part in our movement, Reg.
Why are you always on about women, Stan?
I want to be one.
What?
I want to be a woman. From now on, I want you all to call me Loretta.
What?
It's my right as a man.
Well, why do you want to be Loretta, Stan?
I want to have babies.
You want to have babies?
It's every man's right to have babies if he wants them.
But you can't have babies.
Don't you oppress me.
I'm not oppressing you, Stan. You haven't got a womb. Where's the fetus going to gestate? You're going to keep it in a box?
Here, I've got an idea. Suppose you agree that he can't actually have babies, not having a womb, which is nobody's fault, not even the Romans, but that he can have the right to have babies.
Good idea, Judith. We shall fight the oppressors for your right to have babies, brother. Sister, sorry. What's the point? What? What's the point of fighting for his right to have babies when he can't have babies? It is symbolic of our struggle against oppression. Symbolic of his struggle against reality.
Mike Church is about to unload a howitzer-sized barrage of the good, true, and beautiful. Nah, won't do you any good to duck.
Welcome back to a free phone Friday here on the Crusade Radio Network. Marcus Tullius Meridius Maximus Augustus El Jefe Dude reporting for duty today. Doing double duty today and serving as your online and on-air defender of the U.S. Constitution. Here on the Crusade Radio Network, is portion of the program brought to you by our friends at MyPillow.com. Go to MyPillow.com. /KingDude. Take up to 60% off. So many items, too many to list here, but gets free shipping on orders over $75 or more. MyPillow.com /KingDude. If you just happen to be shopping at the store or you call them, just make sure you give them as your code, KingDude. And thank you in advance. I wanted to just take a moment and explain something that came up a couple of days ago. Since it's a free phone Friday and you can call the program about anything that we have talked about this week, and it has been a lot. So let me talk about something. And by the way, the Crusader Stadium chat room is open. Tracy Staller, very special guest on, you guys know him from the chat room, on today's Free Phone Friday. You're not going to want to miss this one. You people on X.com to tune out to go get the latest political whatever it is that you get from Eddie and the Breitbart Breakfast Flakes. If you want to make America healthy again and you want to know one of the principal reasons why America's not healthy again, we're going to talk about the Mexico Agriculture Project. We're going to talk about a book called How to Get Rid of a Wheat Belly. And we're going to talk about what's really making Americans sick. And yeah, it's the seed oils, too. But there's another sinister, basically, chemical poison that's made its way into the food supply in its totality. So this episode of Free Farm Friday, you are not going to want to miss, and we'll start it as soon as the program comes to a conclusion. This came up the other day. President Trump made a campaign promise once upon a time this summer, and he rolled out a plan that he said he was going to temporarily reduce credit card interest rates from the usurious, rapacious, loan shark 29 to 30% of where they currently are to 10%. And, of course, many people howled about this. I said at the time that I thought this was a good idea. So this came up again the other day when we played the clip from Josh Hawley in the Senate hearing where he was asking the Visa MasterCard people, you guys are operating at a 50% or an 80% profit margin? No, 50%. You have 80% of the market and you still can't make it? What the hell is wrong with you? The American people out there listening to watching this aren't going to believe this, and I don't believe it either. Well, color me jaded. I don't believe it either. So I said that I think that Congress could do this and that this is a judicious use of the Article 1, Section 8 power to make commerce regular, to regulate commerce. Emphasis on temporary. This would only apply. Now, this is me saying this. I have got to get this cover on this because this mic has to be close, and this damn thing is always getting in the way. But if you don't have the pop filter, then you'll hear the pops. This would only apply to charges that have already been made where an interest rate set a cap, set a number. And don't set it too high because they'll just defy you and go under it. So set the number somewhere north of 12 or so, maybe 15 or so. Anything north of north of that then would apply here. I can tell you, I got two cards that we use to buy things with, and then we pay them off to get miles so I can fly to certain destinations. I have a JetBlue card and an American Airlines card. They're both at 29.36% right now. Doesn't matter which one. This is a Barclays card, 29.36%. I don't remember what the terms and conditions were when I signed, but I don't remember the 29.36%. This is, again, if we were talking about people that had borrowed money or had put their own money up. Let's just say that they'd put $3 billion in gold Krugerrands up to start Visa. Everybody follow me? How much was that? $3 billion. And they took it to a bank, took it to one of the Federal Reserve banks, and said, hey, man, look, we got $3 billion in gold. We want to loan it all out to this thing called credit cards. But we need cash for the gold. But you can't keep our gold. We're just giving you that as kind of like seed money. And somebody went, okay, well, we'll give you $3 billion in cash money, and then you can loan that out. So let's just pretend that that is what happened. And then after the money was loaned out at whatever agreed upon interest rate, they then decided that, well, you know what? We're going to go out of business if we don't increase the rate. So we're going to increase it to 12% or 15%, whatever the case may be. At least then they would be playing with their own money. But in all things that concern fractional reserve lending, and this is the worst example, that is not the case of what is happening here. MBNA, if they're still in business, or whoever, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Barclay, Capital One, whoever's issuing these cards, they're not playing with their investment capital. Nobody went to them and said, hey, I've got $20 billion that you can have, that you can loan. That's not how this works. Which is why I don't have an issue with Congress using its regulatory power and the president asking them to do this on a temporary basis. They get the money from what's called the discount window at the Fed. You know what they get it for? 3.5%. Now, maybe recently they're having to pay 5.75%, and they're charging you 30, 25%, 28, whatever. They're not playing with the point. The point is, this isn't their money that they loan to you. This is basically your money. The Federal Reserve, the debt that is issued by the Federal Reserve to the Treasury Department is backed up by what collateral? What collateral backs up that debt? Anybody want to take a guess? This is an easy one. I don't ask trick questions on this show. The KingDude Jeopardy question is, what is the collateral that backs up the debt issued to the Treasury Department by the Federal Reserve? And our Jeopardy contestants are writing their answers down. Let's go to the first contestant and see what the answer is. I go to nobody knows. You are the collateral. Your labor, your future taxes that you're going to pay. That services the debt. You know that number that Elon's floating around of $680 billion in debt payments alone? Who do you think is on the hook for that? You are. I am. They are. So if they're borrowing money from the discount window, and the discount window doesn't have any money, it's like the old bit from oh gosh, what were their names? Clark and Dawes. It's basically this.
Okay, Roger, your special subject tonight is the economies of the European community. Your time starts now. Best of luck.
Thank you.
How much does Greece owe, Roger?
$367 billion.
Correct. And who do they owe it to?
Mostly to the other European economies.
Correct. How much does Ireland owe?
$865 billion.
Correct. And who do they owe it to?
Who to?
Other European economies, mostly.
Correct. How much do Spain and Italy owe?
$1 trillion each.
Correct. Who to?
Mainly France, Britain and Germany.
Correct. And how are Germany, France and Britain going, Roger?
Well, they're struggling a bit, aren't they?
Correct. Why?
Because they've lent all these vast amounts of money to other European economies that can't possibly pay them back.
Correct. So what are they going to do?
They're going to have to bail them out.
Correct. Where are they getting the money to do that, Roger?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that one.
How much does Portugal owe?
Hang on a minute. What was the answer to that earlier question?
Just keep answering the questions,
Roger.
Where is Portugal going to get the money it owes to Germany if Germany can't get back the money that it lent to Italy?
Just a minute. What was the answer to the previous question? The question was...
Okay, so you get the idea. Well, if Wells Fargo got the money from the discount window, And the discount window funds came from the Fed, but the Fed doesn't have any money, or it came from the Treasury Department, issued through the Fed, but the Fed doesn't have any money, but somehow there are dollar bills that are changing hands, and somebody has to pay this back, and they have to pay the interest back on it. Who is the guarantor of the interest? The American people. You. And now the debt is so large, your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren. Okay? So basically, you. There's no Visa person. There's no MasterCard or American Express person. You are the guarantor of that debt. Technically, it's your, and since you are in the W-2 withholding program, you are, oh yes, you are going to pay it back, sir, whether you like it or not. As long as that condition exists, and as long as that's the terms under which these thieves borrowed this money to ostensibly loan it to you, we're not going to talk about what people did with the money and they shouldn't have done it and they should live within their means. Like, we all agree on that. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. But you can neuter these criminal usurers. These people are gangs. This is basically a mafiosa operation now. They look, and they're all singing from the same hymnal. You know, you have to have, we must consume economy. And you have to have all the players on the same page here. This thing is going to drive me absolutely berserk. So I don't have an issue with it being done temporarily. It's federal money that was loaned. It crosses state lines. No one's taking a haircut, per se, because it's reduced down to 10%, other than the people that are basically the guarantors of the debt. You basically hold the debt for Visa and MasterCard. So if the intention is for people to be able to pay their debt down, and this is not you go on a shopping spree and buy 30 grand worth of stuff because that's your limit and you get it at 10%. That's not this at all, and that's not what I'm talking about, and that's not what I understand what they're talking about doing. So this is, and you would sunset this program, you would say for a certain amount of time. I think that these people, I think Dodd-Frank made all this legal. I think Dodd-Frank ought to be freaking repealed. I think fractional reserve lending ought to come to an end. I think the Federal Reserve ought to be brought to an end. And if he keeps sniffing around, Elon Musk is a smart guy. It's not going to take him long. Maybe he already knows that this is all brought about by the fact that there is a Federal Reserve Bank and that Congress can borrow money from this thing called the Fed. Basically, it's called, what do they call it? Quantitative easing here. This has got to come to an end. So, remember me telling you about 5 years ago when Trump was first talking about things like this, and I told you, I don't think you realize what you're asking for if you really want to make America great again, and you want to live in a society and in a civilization, which I'm perfectly fine with. I actually desire that you don't have this kind of ability to borrow money. You got to actually save money up. Did anybody remember S&H green stamps? Does anyone remember their mother or their grandmother? This giant book that would be sitting on in a kitchen drawer somewhere, and she would go to whatever store and she'd check out and go like, and be sitting there tapping her foot at the cashier, going like, fork them over, bud. Remember the green stamps? You get the green stamps, you put them in a book. You fill a book up. To tell you the truth, I don't remember how it worked, but you'd fill the book up, and when you filled the book up, you could take it to a place like Kmart, and you could turn the book in, and they go like, oh, okay, well, this was before Capital One had cashback rewards. These were actually real cashback rewards. But the point was being you almost use the S&H green stamps as a kind of a savings account. Remember, people used to have Christmas clubs. What the hell was a Christmas club? Christmas Club is a little account that your local bank would set up with you, and where you would go and you would put money all year long into it. They would give you a little interest rate, but fractional reserve lending, they would loan it out, obviously. But around Christmas time, you wanted to go Christmas shopping, you'd go and drain the Christmas Club account, you'd go spend the money. The point being that people were living within their cash means. You didn't have this usury run wild here. I mean, we literally have made usury a game, a legal game that is played by almost every American. Hell, I've been playing it myself. So in any event, there's someone in one of the chat rooms. I'm very busy when I'm hosting the show. So I don't get a chance to, I didn't see where it was, or maybe it was someone's. What are you, a Venezuelan now, KingDude? You want Kamala Harris price controls? No, that's not a price control. Again, the circumstance is different. We're not talking about something that is to be manufactured and then sold and purchased. That's not, this is something, and I've just explained where the money came from. So it's not their money anyway. So does it lift? Does it hold out the possibility that you can win? Maggie, what was that number? Was it what did Josh always say? $1.7 trillion? $1.87 trillion? Maybe you could reduce that down to by half over 4 years to a mere $800 billion. In any event, just thought I would go over that and to talk a little bit about that. Let's play some digital media files here on a free phone Friday. Digital media file number 7. This is a glorious one. Yes, we will. I hope I get one of these every day. Sonny Hostin. I hope this happens every day, and I hope it starts happening on other shows too. Hey, Rick Madcow, yeah, you're going to have to give a legal disclaimer on this. Yeah, you have to do it again. So it happened to Sonny Hostin when she libeled Matt Gaetz the other day. Well, happened again yesterday.
Sorry. I have a legal note. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations and has not been charged with any crime. Gaetz previously dismissed allegations that he paid for sex, saying that, quote, someone is trying to recategorize my generosity to ex-girlfriends as something more untoward. Another legal note, Pete Hegseth's lawyer said he paid the woman in 2023 to head off the threat of a baseless lawsuit. He has denied any wrongdoing.
Just call the show Legal Note from now on.
Hey, why didn't you call the show?
We'll be right back.
Why didn't you call the show Try and Tell the Truth? Exactly. Why don't you call the show Try Not to Defame People? Why don't you call the show, yeah, we view things, but we don't practice libel? There's a new sheriff in town, folks. Things are already changing. By the way, look, the two dudes right there. Look, right there on Fox. The two dudes were on last night that Juicy Smollett paid to try and start a race riot and a race war in the United States. I think this guy is a traitor. You want to talk about an insurrectionist? Juicy Homo Smollett, or however the hell you say his name, that is an insurrectionist. That guy tried to start a rebellion, a race war, basically. And then had it not been, I forget who busted the story. It was not someone that it wasn't a network news outlet that busted the story, but that found the two brothers. Here they are.
Joe John Doe or Ola Osundairo, he would not get that deal. Jesse got that deal because he has influence and power. So it shows that there are two different citizens in America, one with power and one without. And that's why he got that sweet.
By the way, look at how that guy is dressed.
Have you talked to him since, Ola? Did he ever pay
He's
you
Trump.
guys?
We have not spoken to him since. Yes, he did pay us at first. He still owes us $500, but I don't think we're ever going to see that.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go
It wasn't
ahead.
about the money. It was not about the money at all. It was more so us helping out a friend.
Do you know anyone that believes him? Do you know anyone that believes Jussie Smollett was telling the truth, Ola?
Not a single soul. I do. I'm sorry. I do see people online that's
Okay, so one of the brothers has a cowboy hat on, a royal blue vest, a white Oxford shirt, and a big red tie. Trump. He's dressed as Trump. Santa Claus is going to be really popular this year dressed as Trump. The point being that Jussie Smollett tried to start a race war. That was his intention. They let this guy off yesterday. Well, folks, I'm telling you, the bear is being poked, and people are going to get pissed to the point where they're going to start taking matters if this stuff isn't changed and fixed into their own. And look at him crying on TV. Back in the heyday of broadcast TV, NBC called its Thursday night lineup must-see TV. That was then, and this is now. And the only must-see TV is The Mike Church Show, now simulcast live on Roku, YouTube, and Rumble. But if you miss an hour or a day, you can watch that entire show whenever you want when you become a Premium Founders Pass member. Sign up today and access my 2,000-plus podcast. So many, I can't even get my mom to say that she listened. Go premium today at crusadechannel.com/offer. Silver and gold. In these turbulent times, buying silver and gold is such a no-brainer that even snowmen know they should do it. Now, all precious metal dealers claim to be the best, but only one can claim they are endorsed by the KingDude, and that's Miles Franklin. My friend Andy Schegman's a regular guest on my show and a regular genius when it comes to silver and gold, and I trust him with my silver and gold purchases, and so should you. So email Miles Franklin today for your exclusive Mike Church Show discount price list. info@milesfranklin.com.
Did you know that the rosary began as a tool to give laity a form of common prayer like what was being prayed in monasteries? And monasteries were praying all 150 psalms from the Bible. But most laity couldn't afford a Bible, and most couldn't read, so they began praying the Our Father 150 times a day. Today the rosary is prayed by millions, and each one is a work of art. There is no finer maker of this art than Maggie O'Connell and the Little Bayou Rosary. Find her rosary creations today at shop.mikechurch.com.
Hey, it's Mike Church, and I'm here to tell you how you can enjoy this whole show in crystal clear stereo and without annoying messages like this one. Sign up for a Founders Pass membership with a grand total of 0.0. All we ask is your name and email address. No credit card needed. To sign up, go to crusadechannel.com/offer. Once you're a premium member, you can pull a Braveheart and shout, "Let my ears be brave!" Treat your ears today at crusadechannel.com/offer. Where do you find gourmet coffee, great barbecue seasonings, and the best must-read books? Answer, the Founders Trading Post store.
Yeah, but how do we get folks to remember we sell so much more?
I got it. Remember the McDonald's jingle?
To all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun.
All right, Lou and I will buy.
Well, here goes. Rosary, stickers, lapel pins, stuff from bees, t-shirts, ball caps, download CDs, and reading fun.
Thanks. Now Lou and I want a Big Mac.
The Founders Trading Post store really is stocked like a trading post at shop.mychurch.com. Big Mac sold separately.
Come on, Lou. You can finish your order in the car. Let's get a Big Mac.
If you're on a quest to make the perfect steak, then you need the perfect steak seasoning for that. And my Acadiana steak seasoning is the perfect choice because unlike many off-the-shelf rubs, Acadiana is nearly salt-free, so you control the quantity of salt to your taste. For steaks, I like to use a healthy dose of very coarse grind kosher salt, and I heavily season both sides to make a blackened sear. Acadiana is also great on seafood and veggies, too. Pick up a bag or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com.
The Mike Church Show, serving the hard liquor of truth to men who want to get drunk fast since 1992.
Traveling in a fried-out Kombi on a hippie trailhead full of zombies. I met a strange lady, she made me nervous. She took me in and gave me breakfast. And she said, do you come from a land down under?
Women go and men thunder.
Can't you hear the thunder?
How you doing? This portion of the program brought to you by the Founders Trading Post Store. Folks, man, those gift boxes are in there, and we'll start rolling out men's gift box, women's gift box, girls' gift box, and boys' gift box, and they are fantastic. Shop.mikechurch.com, shop.mikechurch.com. Do not be alarmed if you go right now and you get an error. The site has been moved to a new server. It'll be up later this morning, better and faster than ever before. But the gift boxes are fantastic. Don't forget, ladies, you're looking for gifts for your hubby. We got them. Especially if he is into cigars. We have the 4-pack, the new natural wrapper 4-pack. We have brought back the travel humidor from the Manchipia Maria cigars. Too much to tell you about the Beast and Butt Rub. All of that's there. Shop.mikechurch.com. Still got $5 until they run out. Revolt Jefferson Lebowski t-shirts, $5. Shop.mikechurch.com. I said this earlier, so just for the benefit of those that are tuning in going like, you said you were going to tell me what about Trump being rickrolled. Let me just quickly recap what I think happened with the Gaetz nomination. And why I say, okay, I think that, and again, BK from Michigan and others in the chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. By the way, if you're on YouTube, we only needed 11 of you to subscribe to the channel to get to 1,700. We did this organically. Thanks to all of you. Come on, guys. Drag us over the finish line. Be a bud, be a pal. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Click the bell right now and get us over the top. And thank you in advance. As BK from Michigan said.
Oh, twice in one day.
Yeah, I know. Well, we love BK. BK said, KingDude, Trump had 4 years to plan this. Note that there's no leaks coming out of this transition team. None. This many. You're not getting anything out of these guys.
0.0.
My theory is that, and yes, I said other things yesterday, but upon reflection going and standing back 30,000-foot view and going, oh, I see what you did there. It was always going to be Pam Bondi for AG. No one in that transition team ever expected that Senate was going to confirm Matt Gaetz. But because Gaetz is so outspoken, and by the way, did he just set up Kevin McCarthy again? Again, the KingDude knows things, okay? Think about it. McCarthy was there with the daggers talking with it said that he's still close with the RINOs in the Senate. They sent Gaetz up there. They had him do the walk around the Senate 2 days ago. We played you the clip. Oh, no, we're having great meetings with senators. Everything looks like we're speeding towards confirmation. Well, he was going behind closed doors and meeting with the RINOs, the usual suspects out there. Remember John Thune saying, I'm 100%, we're going to get President Trump's agenda to the United. We're going to get his confirmation. We're going to get his choices, his cabinet choices through the confirmation process so he can hit the ground running January 1st. Was he telling the truth? Or was he being the John Thune that despises Donald John Trump? I told you the day that he won the election that it was my view that he's still the Thune that hates Trump. So my thing is, and I believe this, they sent Matt Gaetz in there knowing that, and look, the press release was already written for Pam Bondi. This happened too fast. Gaetz quits at 12:30. By 4, the press release is out. Pam Bondi's accepted, and she's going to be the AG in very affirmative language. Here's what Trump did. He reconnoitered the U.S. Senate, the RINOs in the House and the Senate. Matt Gaetz went in there, got the intel. He bait and switched him, or as it's popularly called, he frickin' rickrolled him. As I do my Trump dance. I love the Rick Roll. I love that Rick Astley's been to Mar-a-Lago. You know the rules. And so do I. Everybody loves being Rick rolled. Except John Thune. Mitch McConnell. John effing Cornyn. Oh, this one's got to hurt. Gaetz got the intel and got out. No one in their right mind is going to oppose Pam Bondi. They had unanimous consent with the Republicans for Biden's cabinet, including the scarecrow, that criminal Merrick Garland. No one's going to oppose. Maggie, play that clip from the guy from MSNBC for Don, so Don can hear it. Then we'll talk to Don from the Bronx. What's the dude? Jason Johnson. Number 5. The enemy knows they are cooked. The enemy, and the beauty of this is using Gaetz for the Rickroll, sending Gaetz in there to go, yeah, Senator, so what about my confirmation? And I'm telling you how the conversation, you're not getting confirmed, sir. Well, Gaetz walked out of there with a list. Here you go, Mr. President. These are the ones. That's who is not down with your agenda. Now, this is just brilliant here. This is the guy that wrote The Art of the Deal, just rickrolled all the RINOs in the United States Senate. He knows exactly who they are now. He knows what they really think about the agenda because Gaetz went in there and got the intel and he got out. And they just went, okay, thank you very much. Yeah, next. Yeah, Pam Bondi.
Bring you back in, Jason. I say that with all accuracy and fairness. On paper, her state-level experience is much closer to what presidents in both parties have sought at the DOJ. That's a huge difference with Matt Gaetz. The political part, though, is different. Right. And then what I bring to you is, and Juanita mentioned it, you have that political history, and you have a proposed number 2, a deputy attorney general who recently handled Donald Trump's criminal defense. So if this were the team, and they have to go through vetting and confirmation, but if this were the team, this would be 2 of the most politically defensive lawyers of the personal capacity of an incoming president we've ever seen running DOJ at the same time.
All right, I completely agree. And quite frankly, my thought is that after Gaetz dropped out, it would be essentially somebody from Trump's legal team. It would be like a Jay Sekulow or somebody like that. I assume that's where he would get these people from. Unlike William Barr, even going back to when we were all kids and like Janet Reno, right? Occasionally attorney generals try to behave like they are not the personal lawyer of the president of the United States. That is completely out the window. Pam Bondi is exactly what I was saying in the last segment that we should all fear because she's competent. We may not agree with her ideologically, but she actually knows how to do this job. So if anyone on the Democratic side or anyone who cared about liberty or justice was thinking, well, maybe Matt Gaetz will screw this up and that'll give us some time. No, Pam Bondi knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing about immigration. Remember, Florida is one of those states that's been very aggressive about migrants and deportation and moving people to different states and everything else like that. Florida has enacted all sorts of rules and laws to curtail students and what they can do on campuses and finding legal justifications for manipulating education money. She is a dangerous and effective pick, and that's frankly worse than what we would have got with Matt Gaetz, even with the deplorable moral background that he has.
And again, Trump rickrolled him. It was never going to be Matt Gaetz. Don from the Bronx to Florida. How are you, my friend, on a beautiful Friday?
Doing well. Blessed feast of St. Cecilia, my third child, named after her. And, Florida man is taking over the swamp. And
Don, they played this so amazingly well. They actually timed this to where Governor DeSantis is out of the country. They can't go. The usual suspects can't go to DeSantis and try and get a comment, try and drag him into it, or try and drag something out of it because he's at the freaking Vatican.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Governor DeSantis actually likes Pam Bondi. I think they have a good relationship.
Oh, I think he does. I think he does. I think that's correct.
Yeah, and I think Look, you mentioned it earlier. The circle that's around him down at Mar-a-Lago and has been down there for the past 2 weeks planning out the administration is a big upgrade over what I think he had in place in 2016. I mean, to his fault, actually, I don't think he expected to win in 2016. So I don't think he had any of these types of people in place. But I know that there are really high quality people that are down there who have been right and who are fighting for all the right things. People like Jack Posobiec and Charlie Kirk and others, and obviously Elon and Vivek and people like that are in the circle there and are part of that decision making process. People that frankly know how to win.
That's right.
Even his chief of staff Susie Wiles. These people know how to win. The people that are down here and coming out of Florida, these are all winners. Meaning they know how to win campaigns, they know how to message, they know how to strategize. The people behind the Florida GOP that have helped build Florida into what the state that it is today are some of the most highly sophisticated political people you'll find in the country. I know that's shocking for some people out there, but Florida, I truly believe is, I've said this before, I think it's the new New York with the good parts. I think there's just really, really high quality human capital that is here now and is driving a lot of the really great stuff that comes out of the state. And so that's how you end up with, a lot of Floridians being represented in the administration.
So maybe we have MAFA now. Make America Florida again.
Well, it should be. Well, it should be Make America La Florida again. That's
Florida.
The real goal.
I want to go to the chat room for a comment, Maggie. If you would flip your screen over there. I want to read what MDS Miser has put in there because I think that this is relevant and this is good. Regarding Attorney General Senate negotiations, Steve Bannon said last night that Thune et al. Said Gaetz had to promise to not prosecute MSNBC, Rick Madcow, and Dr. Fauci, among others. These were specific protected people and entities involved. That is why NBC said to not release the ethics paper on Gaetz. He indeed was sent in there to find out who they are protecting. So again, and thank you, MDS Miser, for that. CrusadeChannel.com/chat.
Yep.
Look forward to reading your comments next on the air. Gaetz, and you know what? I don't know why I didn't see this, and maybe it's because they did it so well. That they never intended. It was always going to be Pam Bondi. I think.
Well, it was a bizarre. I mean, let's be honest. He has been effective, but Matt Gaetz, but it was a bizarre pick. I mean, he's never really spent any time practicing law.
Right.
And even I have friends that are the most MAGA you will find that are attorneys that were really scratching their head and not understanding the pick at all. And I think it's also, it's kind of, I mentioned this last time I was on, as kind of a dig at attorneys. It hurt their ego a little bit to see somebody who's never spent time practicing law being the attorney general. But I don't think it was a serious pick from the beginning. I think there was some strategy behind it, and I think he knew he never would have gotten in, or he traded him for some other things. And I know that there's a big fight over Kash Patel being head of the FBI.
Yep.
And the RINOs are heavily pushing Mike Rogers, who would be an absolute disaster. And it sounds like the administration is leaking out intentionally that Mike Rogers is under consideration, or at least that the RINOs want him. And I think looking to see what that feedback is like online, which has been almost in entirety, unanimous, just completely against Mike Rogers being an FBI director. So, it'll be interesting where that goes, and if this was part of a deal to get someone like Kash Patel in at the FBI.
Well, I can't imagine a scenario, and now Trump has been to Michigan several times, and there have been several rallies where he's pointed Mike Rogers out. And another great Michigan member of Congress, there he is right there, Mike Rogers. The advantage with a guy like Kash Patel is he's not mining the United States House of Representatives for another pick. Kash Patel obviously is a MAGA guy, and he's one of those guys that just now. He's not in the FBI currently. That doesn't care. But going back to the Gaetz pick, and to how they played this with people scratching their heads, and but them actually following through on this. You know, the guy that wrote the book, The Art of the Deal, this makes perfect. This is absolutely explainable now. That you would pass this off oh no, this is our guy, and it wasn't so. Everyone knows who the RINOs are. You people in the chat room are. I don't know, where do you come up with this stuff? Do people take conspiracy serum in the morning before they go to the crusadechannel.com/chat room? I really think so. Well, spit your conspiracy serum out. No one is saying that they were trying to find out who the RINOs are. We know who the hell they are. Gaetz was sent in there to get intel on what they are planning to do. Big difference.
Yeah.
So that's why you send him in there, not because you don't know. You know exactly who they are. I know who they are. Don knows who they are. You think that Susie Wiles, there's no way that transition team with that talent and that level of like a millennia of experience on it, there's no way that team sent Matt Gaetz up there allegedly to be confirmed, knowing that he probably wasn't. You'd have to do a recess appointment and would waste that political capital. No way. So did they waste it? Hell no, they didn't waste it. Now they got intel that they can use.
And Mike, you've been saying this since 2015 when he first came down the escalator, pointing to how he operates with the art of the deal. I think obviously, listen, he stepped on some landmines from 2016 to 2020. Yep. COVID being the biggest one, Jeff Sessions another. But obviously it was a very prosperous 4 years, and there were a lot of wins, not as many as we all wanted, but there were a lot of wins. So this is his second time at it. He's had 4 years to reflect and see how they were going to attack him, and they continued to attack him for 4 years. So they revealed more of their cards, and I think you're right. I mean, going back to what you said about him in 2015, that he knows what he's doing in these situations. He knows how to operate in very hostile waters, as he did as a real estate guy in New York City, surrounded by a lot of really hostile people. So, we just hope they make a lot more good decisions than bad going forward. They're not going to be immune to bad decisions, but they're trending in the right direction.
Well, here's the thing, Don from the Bronx of Florida, our cultural and Catholic affairs correspondent. Here's the thing, Don. Someone that is successful in small business is ultimately, and this is not a hard and fast rule, so again, all of you with the conspiracy serum, just chill out for a minute. But the basic rule of thumb is, if you're successful in small business, it's because you are good at figuring out what other people are really good at, and you turn them loose to do it. That's a key ingredient in success. This guy's not good at doing the glass installation at the window factory, but man, that dude can freaking caulk a circle around everybody else. Let's move him over to, just as a stupid example. Right. You're like a good coach. A good coach is probably not he's part motivator, but he's also a guy that goes like, you know what? I don't think you should be playing wide receiver. I think you need to bulk up and put 15 pounds on. I'm moving you to tight end. You're my best blocker out there on the wing. Imagine what you do on the line. This is recognizing talent is the point, and then putting it where it can be effective, right? It makes the talent happier as well.
Yeah, and I think he recognized from the last run that he needed people around him that were going to be completely loyal, people that stuck with him through 2020 to 2024. Gaetz is one of those people. Pam Bondi is one of those people. So obviously that's kind of the criteria here. Now, I'd be very disappointed if he goes and picks someone that was not. Like even a Marco Rubio, who I know many don't like, was very loyal to him from 2020 to 24. Did not really shy away from the Trump circle. So I think he's looking for those types of people, and that's playing a big role in who he's putting around him.
Yeah, 844-527-8723, 844-5-CRUSADE. Well, unfortunately for me, Don, you and I and MDS Miser and MAGA, the only people in the world that agree with our plan. According to the chat room, you think that those traitors would have told Gaetz their plan? I didn't say they told him their plans. They told them some of what they intend to do. They already identified the enemies that they're protecting. If you got a list of people, you can't go after these events. Imagine
Mike. Again, this is the same problem. I mean, a lot of people who we agree with on a lot of stuff, but they spent the last 4 years hypothesizing about how they were going to steal the election.
Yes,
and they didn't, and they tried. They're not as effective at what they aim to do as you think. I mean, this is the gang that couldn't shoot straight. If it existed in politics, it's the left wing of the American Democrat Party. They do not accomplish the goals they want. They wanted mass vaccinations of all of us. I'm not vaccinated. You're not vaccinated. A lot of us here aren't vaccinated.
That's
we still
right.
have jobs. We're still here. They wanted to starve us out with going after our food supply. Still here.
Still
plenty of food at the Piggly Wiggly. So there's a lot of stuff they've been trying to do that they're not great at doing, okay? Bill Gates is not the genius you think he is, okay? This is a guy at Microsoft that had so many viruses. I mean, he was a laughing stock. These people are not the sophisticated people you think, okay? So let's stop hypothesizing about what they're going to do to you and just how's about, think from a positive perspective how you could play a role in affecting some positive change in your community.
That's
and
right.
helping to, see this through.
And by the way, as a lifelong Mac user, I can tell you that the only thing that saved the disaster that was Windows 3.1 and all that was when John Scully, after Steve Jobs left, John Scully foolishly was conned by Bill Gates into licensing the Mac OS GUI to Microsoft. If that doesn't happen, everyone is running a Mac today. You're running Linux for those.
Sure.
All right,
Sure.
quickly because you got to go. Before you go, yesterday was the feast of the presentation of Our Lady. I don't know how many of you saw this, but a miracle happened. The statue of Notre Dame de Paris, that's Our Lady of Paris. Statue of Our Lady of Paris was moved from where they were holding it in a warehouse. It was moved back to Notre Dame de Paris, and while it was being moved in mid-November, it began to snow. I looked it up. There is no record that I can find of snow in Paris in November. Now, I'm not saying it never happened. I'm just saying I couldn't find the record. I asked Grok on Twitter, and I asked ChatGPT, and neither one of them could find it either. So there was a miracle. So Our Lady is back in her home in Paris. They've restored the interior using plaster and old materials. It's beautiful. They fixed the roof using the timber that was, or a facsimile of the timber that was used. It is slated to open next month. You can go to Paris now, and you can go back into Our Lady's beautiful basilica of Our Lady of Paris. And I think some magnificent things are happening across the Catholic world. This while Rome is, yes, burning and heretics are being confirmed. And, yeah, clown, Satan-worshiping masses are being approved for people. You know what? This is all going to be corrected, folks. There's nothing you can do about it except hashtag pray harder. That's what you do. Hashtag be holier.
It's not the first time. Yeah, it's not the first time Our Lady has used snow for a miracle. So that's really beautiful. I had not seen that yet. That's fantastic news.
Well, the most famous instance that she uses is when it snowed in Rome in August.
That's right.
And it only snowed on one mountain, one of the hills, one of the 7 hills, and that indicated where St. Mary Maggiore was going to be built.
Major. Yep.
And my devotion,
Absolutely.
our family has a devotion to Our Lady of the Snows still to this day. Don, we got to go. Hey, thanks for checking in, brother.
Okay.
Looking forward to seeing you in Phoenix at America Fest next month.
Yeah, we'll see you in about a month.
Will do. All right. Well,
have a great Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah, you too, brother. That's Don from the Bronx. Folks, we got to go. We'll be back with our final hour. Don't you go away.
The antidote for the civilization-killing epidemic of low testosterone. The High T Mike Church Show is on the Crusade Radio Network. Weekdays, 6 to 9 a.m. Central on the Crusade Radio Network. Live talk radio the way it should be.
The Crusade Channel On Demand presents the Deliver Us From Evil tapes, the series featuring former NYPD Sergeant Ralph Sarchi.
The skeptics and deniers of the spirit world of demons have all passed over the quite well-known local story that the Indians used Amityville as a holding place for their criminals and the insane.
The Deliver Us From Evil tapes, the series featuring Ralph Sarchi. Real-life stories of the battle against the underworld, demons, and the people they prowl the world looking to ruin. Exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Listen or download the Deliver Us From Evil tapes, Piercing Truth, the Mike Church Show compilations, Mike's feature recordings, and hundreds of other titles in the Crusade Channel On Demand store at crusadechannel.com.
At the start of the American Revolution, the Founding Fathers had to answer the question of what kind of government they wanted to live under. Today's patriots are asking the same question, and many think that Confederation needs to be rethought for the 21st century. Now, Ben Franklin helped the patriots' cause with his Join or Die drawing. Well, I've taken that drawing and changed it to Secede or Die and put it beautifully on t-shirts and sweats. Grab a Secede or Die shirt in any size today at shop.mikechurch.com.
Broadcasting 50,000 kilowatts from atop the tallest radio tower on the planet. We are KRSD, the Crusade Channel.
Madisonville. Well, it's what our call letters would be if we were on.
Crusade Channel News. News you can trust. Because the truth can be trusted. From the Crusade Channel News Desk, here's Janet Huxley.
Good morning, Crusaders. Welcome to Friday, November 22nd, 2024. I'm Janet Huxley, reporting for the Crusade Radio Network News Desk, live from the Dothan Farm and Ranch, south of Kansas City, Missouri. This report is brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that has won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. Here's what to listen for this hour. The next Attorney General has been selected. Democrat Bob Casey concedes Pennsylvania Senate race, ending recount. Biden administration forms Congress it will forgive $5 billion in economic loans to Ukraine. And a 5th century amulet depicting the demon-fighting King Solomon has been found by archaeologists in Turkey. President-elect Trump announced last evening he's nominating former Attorney General of Florida Pam Bondi as the next Attorney General of the U.S. Trump's latest cabinet pick replaces Matt Gaetz, the former Florida representative and nominee for Attorney General, who yesterday withdrew as Trump's pick for the top prosecutor after the distraction his nomination had caused due to a swirl of allegations about paying underage women for sex. Pam was a prosecutor for nearly 20 years where she was very tough on violent criminals and made the streets safe for Florida families, Trump wrote in his announcement. Then, as Florida's first female attorney general, she worked to stop the trafficking of deadly drugs and reduce the tragedy of fentanyl overdose deaths, which have destroyed many families across our country. She did such an incredible job that I asked her to serve on our Opioid and Drug Abuse Commission during my first term. We saved many lives. Pennsylvania Democrat Senator Bob Casey yesterday announced finally he's conceding the race to Republican candidate Dave McCormick, putting an end to a lengthy automatic recount in the Keystone State. And this has been going on for more than 2 weeks after Election Day. I just called Dave McCormick to congratulate him on his election to represent Pennsylvania in the United States Senate, Casey said in a statement. As the first count of ballots is completed, Pennsylvanians can move forward with the knowledge that their voices were heard, whether their vote was the first to be counted or the last, he said. The Biden administration told Congress it plans to cancel $4.65 billion in debt. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller confirmed the plans in a briefing on Wednesday. Congress has appropriated more than $175 billion for Ukraine since Russia's invasion in February of 2022. Our quote of the day, "Everything I own really belongs to the poor," St. Elizabeth of Hungary. And coming up, our saint of the day. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
Hey folks, it's the KingDude. You know that thing that you just can't cook without? You know, the thing you call your bread and butter, or should I say, your beast and butt rub. Now, my seasonal is quickly becoming a kitchen essential for hundreds of American families. And how do I know? Because they've told me so. It's perfect on veggies, eggs, popcorn chicken, and of course, pork ribs and butts. Make every meal a KingDude masterpiece with a sprinkle of flavor that you can count on. Grab yourself a bottle or better yet, a six-pack at shop.mikechurch.com. There's only one way to get mine and former NYPD Ralph Sarchi's The Deliver Us from Evil tapes, the Amityville Horror 4-part podcast series. Sign up for my Church Doctrine Daily email newsletter at mikechurch.com/evil.
Our saint of the day is Saint Cecilia. Although Cecilia is one of the most famous of the Roman martyrs, the familiar stories about her are apparently not founded on authentic material. There is no trace of honor being paid her in early times. A fragmentary inscription of the late 4th century refers to a church named after her, and a feast was celebrated at least in 545. According to legend, Cecilia was a young Christian of high rank betrothed to a Roman named Valerian. Through her influence, Valerian was converted and was martyred along with his brother. The legend about Cecilia's death says that after being struck 3 times on the neck with a sword, she lived for 3 days and asked the Pope to convert her home into a church. Since the time of the Renaissance, she has usually been portrayed with a viola or a small organ. A 5th century amulet depicting the demon-fighting King Solomon has been found by archaeologists in Turkey, referencing a book banned from the Bible for including themes of dark magic. The amulet was found among the ruins of a military structure in an ancient quarter of the Turkish city of Paphlagonia by archaeologists from Karabük University. That city would have been under the rule of the Roman Empire at the time the amulet was made and worn. On the object is a depiction of King Solomon riding a horse, who, according to the apocryphal text, the Testament of Solomon, was given a magic ring by the Archangel Michael. The names of 4 archangels were also inscribed on the back of the amulet: Azrael, Gabriel, Michael, and Israfil, all carved in Greek. While Solomon is a well-known biblical fixture, the amulet is an apparent reference to the apocryphal text, the Testament of Solomon, and that testament is not considered a canonical work by either Christians or Jews. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
Fire and Ice Middays are here. Get animated by the fire of Parrot Talk and the ice-cold chill-out of Turley's Believe It or Else and Fiorella Middays show. The Fire and Ice Midday block begins at 10 Central on the Crusade Radio Network. Live talk radio the way it should be.
For the last time, I'm pretty sure what's killing the crops is this Brondo stuff.
The Brondo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
So wait a minute. What you're saying is that you want us to put water on the crops?
Yes.
Water? Like out the toilet?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be out of the toilet, but yeah, that's the idea.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Okay, look, the plants aren't growing, so I'm pretty sure that the Brondo's not working. Now, I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Well, I've never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
Hey, that's good. You sure you ain't the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah.
Okay, look, you want to solve this problem. I want to get my pardon, so why don't we just try it, okay? And not worry about what plants crave.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes.
What are electrolytes? Do you even know?
It's what they use to make Brondo.
Yeah, but why do they use them to make Brondo?
Because Brondo's got electrolytes.
more of what you bought your Founders Pass membership radio for. You know, you people, if you want to get this show every day, commercial-free, all 3 hours, glorious hours of it, delivered to the app, Crusade Radio Network app, or go to the website and get it. It's easy to do. Become a Founders Pass member at crusadechannel.com/offer. That's crusadechannel.com/offer. This portion of the program brought to you by the Founders Pass membership service, because there are no subscribers, there is no Crusade Radio Network or Mike Church Show. So thanks to all of you here on a free phone Friday. And you know what that means.
Oh, and remember, Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, you know, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Like I said,
It's free phone. It's free phone.
yes, it is a free phone Friday. Yay! They are charged with the task of telling us what it is we shall talk about here on the program. Telephone number to take me up on this kind, benevolent, beneficent offer, use of these radio elves. Call us sometime when you have no class. 844-527-8723. 844-5-CRUSADE. Anywhere in the United States. Welcoming all of you that are listening on, I just discovered this, on the TuneIn app. If you're watching on the Crusade Radio Network on YouTube, did you check if we hit 1,700 yet? Subscribers? I'm just curious now. We only needed 11 to get to 1,700. And remember, we started in the second week in May with zero. Well, we started with nothing when we launched this channel on the Crusade Radio Network on YouTube. We had
0.0.
Maggie is shaking her head in disgust, like, you can't get people to do things for you, Mike. Well, let me try again. Because there's more people on the YouTube feed than there have been in like 2 weeks. So more opportunities. Tap the subscribe button, crusadechannel.com. I'm sorry, Crusade Radio Network. If we can identify who subscriber number 1,700 is, I'm going to send you a free Make American Talk Radio Great Again baseball cap autographed by yours truly, Mike Church Show on the back. A bag of Cappuccino, Holy Rose coffee, some Mike Church Show and Crusade Radio Network stickers and other swag, free of charge, don't cost nothing. Hit the subscribe button now. And thank you in advance. By the by, a quick note for all of you that are Founders Pass members. You know, the month of November is when we launched this thing back in 2015, so there are a lot of you longtime listeners whose yearlies renew every November. There are literally, and look, this will sink the whole ship. There are literally hundreds of you whose cards have expired and aren't going to be charged this month. If you don't go and update your credit card info at crusadechannel.com quickly, do it as soon as you can. Just log into your account, go into your account, and you'll see credit card info. There won't be a Crusade channel in December. So it's that important, and there are that many renewals in this month because this is when we launched the thing. So very important for you all to go check to see if your card is updated. And if you have any question about that, just send Maggie an email, Candace@MikeChurch.com. She can check it for you. She can input the card for you. She can do all that. And if all else fails, call 844-5-CRUSADE. That will work as well, and thank you in advance. Why is Bill Clinton on the cut sheet today? Let's find out. On the day that Trump rickrolled the RINOs in the U.S. Senate, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I'm the host of the show, and if you don't like it, then call the telephone line and tell me why he didn't rickroll him. Okay, well, I'd love to hear why I'm wrong. I don't think I am. Here's Bubba.
He's interested in people who are loyal to him 100% of the time, no matter what the issue, no matter what the facts, no matter who gets hurt. He wants people who just say yes and then get after it first. Second, he believes that his supporters have no confidence whatever in the federal government.
We don't.
And Lord knows he's done everything he could to destroy that confidence.
So when you were president, so Trump wants men around him that'll say yes. When you were president, you wanted to be surrounded by women who would say yes. I'll tell you what, when I was in there, I wanted to be surrounded by women, not fat, ugly ones either, hot women that would say yes to the Clinton agenda and just late night dates with cigars and such. And I made it a part of my administration. And look how successful we were. You know, the only angry, ugly women that we had hanging around in my administration were Hillary and Janet RINO. Oh, don't forget the lesbian Donna Chalet lady. I had to appoint her. Hillary made me, girlfriend of hers, way back. But I'm telling you right now, those people, the MAGA people, they don't trust the federal government. You're damn right we don't trust it. Not only do we not trust it, we don't want it. We want like Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy to go in there and take sledgehammers and mauls to that son of a bitch and get rid of it. Well, I'm telling you now. Well, you notice how their advocate, the people on the left, all of a sudden look really, really like old.
He looks so old and sick.
Here is a revelation for you. MSNBC was paying Rick Madcow, how much was it? $30 million a year. This thing is gonna, look, I got this thing here for this, and I cannot figure. I'm gonna have to discombine. I have to take this. I have to disassemble this thing basically, and break it down to parts in order to put this guy on here, which I'll never hit with my hand. But I didn't have time to discombobulate the mic. $30 million. You know what? I'd settle for $30 right now for a mic that didn't have this thing on it. $30 million. They had to give her a pay cut though, because times are bad at MSNBC. You know, I think this is actually her share of the libel suits that they're going to have to pay out. So they had to reduce her pay down. She is literally a pauper these days at a mere $25 million per year. Now, someone like me looks at that and goes like, okay, she does like, what is it, 50 minutes a day. It probably costs another $10 million to produce that awful excuse for a television program. To promote it and all that. It's probably a $50 million show. You know, I'd go like, I can do it for about $200,000. If it's money that you guys are really worried about, then I'll be like Clarence Frogman Henry. I take the job. For people like us, we look at that. We do 3 hours a day. Television and radio. 3 hours a day. Every day. We don't have 8 producers. We have 1. I just see it for the life. Yeah, but you're not responsible. Blah. I've seen, you know, Rick Madcow's radio. Well, first of all, the Morning Show. You know, do you remember, how many of you remember how MSNBC began? What was its morning show for like a decade? Anybody remember? Remember? Do you remember who the host of the morning show was on MSNBC from the get-go? Don Imus. Yeah, Brad and Victoria had it. Don Imus. They had the Imus show. CBS was already paying Imus. He was syndicated in 30 markets, however many it was. He was on WNBC in New York. And I don't know, so 30 some odd radio stations. So it was a great budget move. Fat Ron and all the other guys, and Fat Larry rather, and the other dudes actually met Imus, and I sat in on that show when it came to Raleigh, North Carolina in 1997 when I was working there. But Imus was a bargain, and they had a couple of camera shots. And that's how they launched OMSNBC with Don Imus in the morning. Well, why couldn't they go back and have another radio/TV guy in there and pay Maggie and I 1/100th of what they're paying Rick Madcow? Look, you want to save your mornings, MSNBC? Hire me. Don't be a Sirius XM. Hire me. I take the job. So I just thought I would drop down. I am constantly amazed by the amount of money that people that work on network news are paid. Now, how you get from here where we are, which is begging people to update their credit cards so the lights don't get turned off in 2 weeks, to $30 million is an enigma and a Rubik's Cube I never figured out. Maybe I don't want to figure it out. Maybe I shouldn't. It just doesn't make... You would think for that kind of a fee for service, you would think there would be some value added to it. But instead, what do you get? You get someone who spends their life trying to and does a very good job of convincing people that at least half of the rest of the United States of America are mortal enemies, and it would be no big loss if we were all killed. There'd be no big loss if we were all incarcerated. No big loss if we were all made poor. Here's the big one. No big loss and nothing to see here, citizen, if they were all subjected to obey her commands. One thing I can say about many of my colleagues here on the right wing of the spectrum, I can speak for yours truly, for certain. I don't want to have to ever. I have no desire to bark orders out to any of you. You're all big girls and you're all big boys. Now, if you say something stupid to me or something that I think is unintelligent gibberish, I may go like, come on, dude, you don't really believe that, do you? Or if you pull a Rocky's trainer from Rocky 2 and throw the white towel across the ring when the fight's just begun, I might say, how do you expect to win if you surrender? But I'm not going to tell you that you must do this. These people on the left, they bark orders out. They tell people, no, we want you. No, you need to do this. And these are supposedly the people that are defenders of freedom. Do you see how lucrative it is selling your soul at the crossroads to Satan? She just put a price tag on it. That's what it's worth. Here, I have a question, Rick, and I'm just wondering, childless cat lady. She's a childless cat lady. What is a childless cat lady? I wonder if she gives like, what, 24 million of it back to various left-wing charities, I wonder? Are there soup kitchens that are the Rick Madcow Soup Kitchen? Is there the Rick Madcow House and Home for Indigent and Orphan Children? Well, no, because she doesn't think children should be born, and the ones that are should be barking orders out to their parents that their parents and God screwed up and that made them born in the wrong bodies, and they need to chop their breast or their balls off. I wonder how many of them otherwise are knocking down $30 million. That's on a cable news outlet. What do you think Lester Holt is being paid? You're just green-eyed envy. No. I genuinely wonder out loud how that is. You know, at least El Rushbo, at the top of his game when Premier was paying him $30 million a year or whatever it was, at least he could say, well, you know, it says, I'll give you some inside radio baseball here for a moment. It says, my old consultant friend. So Lester Holt makes 1/3 of what Rick Madcow makes. Lester Holt makes $10 million. And you're happy with that, Lester? Golly. I had my friend and radio consultant, Walter Sabo, once told me, and I never forgot this, and I was actually in a meeting with a general manager and a program director and some other talent and stuff, and we were doing like a kind of a marketing session, and the subject came up of, and I can't remember how it actually happened, of disparity in pay. You know, this guy's making this much and this guy's making that much. And then somebody mentioned Paul Harvey. And the guy goes, yeah, then Paul Harvey, you know, what's up with that? You know, Paul Harvey's making, this is like 25 years ago. Paul Harvey's making like $500,000 a year. Blah, 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 blah. And I don't remember what the number was. And I love Walter because he taught me so much. And Sabo stops the meeting and he goes like, well, let me tell you why. Why does Paul Harvey get $500,000 a year and you're stuck at $40,000? When you can do a live spot in the middle of a 5-minute newscast that 5 million people a day stop what they're doing to listen to, they'll pay you and we'll pay you $500,000 a year. And he said, it's not the news. And Paul Harvey was a master at it. It's the fact that he just seamlessly did those live spots right in the middle of a Paul Harvey with news. Nobody tuned out because Maggie wouldn't even tune out. The queen of channel surfing on radio wouldn't even tune out during a Paul Harvey live spot. He was that good. You ever heard Rick Madcow do a live endorsement? I haven't. Have you ever even seen Rick Madcow stop for a moment and go like, this portion of the Rick Madcow Destroy America, make women lesbians and teach them to go Susan Smith and kill their children, is brought to you by... Who wants to be a part of that? The childless are... All right, Josh K., you get a good one today. Usually you're just a thorn in my side, but the childless cat lady school for dykes who can't read, no good, but want to. Do you even think that Rick Madcow has time for a cat? I think she's probably a childless porcelain cat lady. It's probably not a real cat. It's one of those Cupid doll Chinese cats that's it's literally made in China. All right, Maggie. We should at least give a nod to Blackety Ann before she leaves. What are the final days of the Biden regime? Why is he hanging around, Corinna? Why doesn't he just leave and let Kamala bat clean up? I think it's his digital media file number 4.
At this point, with 2 months left in the administration, does the White House see a real value in President Biden directly engaging with members of the press?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Look, I think we have worked really hard, and I hope you all have seen this, to make sure that we brought back the norms that was taken away from our predecessor on how we engage with the press. The president respects the freedom of the press, and he actually enjoys engaging and going back and forth with all of you. And that is something, and he's done that extensively, and that is certainly something that he's going to continue to do. We have 60 days, I think he just said 2 months. left.
When did that start?
There's plenty of time for the president to continue that engagement. He will.
Lord.
This is something that we respect. Bringing back the wars, working with the White House.
I'm going to rickroll Corinna. You know, the great part about the Trump dance is you can be a white guy totally out of sync like me, and you can do it, and no one will make fun of you. Bring the fun back to radio again, TV. Come on, these shows are supposed to be entertain. By the way, Maggie put the price list of the people and what they make in broadcast television in the chat room. Lester Holt, $10 million. Sean Hannity, $45 million a year. Crossroads deal? Chat room people, you think Hannity made the crossroads? He did renounce the faith. I can tell you that in 1996, Sean Hannity went to work for Bill Donovan at 770 WVNN in Huntsville, Alabama. And he stayed there until 1998, where he then went to WSB in Atlanta in 1998. For a brief time, they hired someone else. And in early 1999, I met with Bill Donovan, and Bill Donovan hired Mike Church. And at the time, and you saw the article that Peter Thiel wrote about me yesterday, he was my program director. At the time, you know what Bill Donovan told me about? Well, you'll have to wait.
Crusaders, I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Friday, November 22nd, 2024. This report is brought to you by Miles Franklin Precious Metals. With over $10 billion in sales and over 3 decades of experience, Miles Franklin will handle all your precious metal needs. For the Mike Church Show special price list, email them info@milesfranklin.com. In the market report, all 3 major indexes closed up again. The Dow Jones was up 1.06%, the S&P 0.53%, NASDAQ was up 0.03%. In National Day calendar news, it was on this day that President Kennedy was assassinated. It was also in this day in 1963 that Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn in as the 36th U.S. president after Kennedy's assassination. In 1989, on this day, NASA launched Space Shuttle Discovery on a classified mission for the Department of Defense. Today is also Substitute Educators Day, and it's National Cranberry Relish Day. Believed to have originated in the New England states during the early 1900s, cranberry relish is a traditional part of many families' Thanksgiving dinner. Our quote of the day: "Everything I own really belongs to the poor," St. Elizabeth of Hungary. And our saint of the day, St. Cecilia. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
Silver and gold. In these turbulent times, buying silver and gold is such a no-brainer that even snowmen know they should do it. Now, all precious metal dealers claim to be the best, but only one can claim they are endorsed by the KingDude, and that's Miles Franklin. My friend Andy Scheckman's a regular guest on my show and a regular genius when it comes to silver and gold, and I trust him with my silver and gold purchases, and so should you. So email Miles Franklin today for your exclusive Mike Church Show discount price list. info@milesfranklin.com.
Did you know that the rosary began as a tool to give laity a form of common prayer like what was being prayed in monasteries? And monasteries were praying all 150 psalms from the Bible. But most laity couldn't afford a Bible, and most couldn't read, so they began praying the Our Father 150 times a day. Today the rosary is prayed by millions, and each one is a work of art. There is no finer maker of this art than Maggie O'Connell and the Little Bayou Rosary. Find her rosary creations today at shop.mikechurch.com.
Folks, back in the day when women were women and men weren't, You only needed a half dozen resources to keep up with the news. It's almost impossible to stay informed without previewing and fact-checking till your eyes turn MAGA red. That's why you should sign up for my new daily email newsletter, The Church Doctrine Daily, with my quote of the day, lead show topic, and 3 stories Crusaders can't do without. Subscribing is easy and free at mikechurch.com/dude.
Mike Church Show Fun Fact number 1316. Snowflakes used to be things that fell from the sky, like fairies. Now they are fairies.
2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
Staying alive and too much heaven, no jive talking spoken here. My daughter is a resident now of Massachusetts. And for all of you that just joined us, I just gotta get a message to you. Here on a Bee Gees title medley, Free Farm Friday. By the way, Tracy Stoller, a favorite amongst all of you Free Farm Friday regenerative farmer type people. Tracy is a regenerative, organic jet fuel genius. And many of you have been waiting on this. I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss this episode of Free Farm Friday. We are going to get into the weeds and everything you ever wanted to know about why you have like me, have a wheat belly and what that is and why it is and what to do about it. The important thing is what to do about it will be revealed. And yes, we are making the Red, White, and Dude Nation and the Crusader Nation healthy again. This portion of the program brought to you by the Founders Trading Post store. Now, again, if you go to the store right now, do not be alarmed. It's going to say the site is down. It is down for maintenance. It was moved to a new server. It's going to, as soon as Free Farm Friday is over, and I can make the phone call, it'll take me about 5 minutes. It'll be up and faster than it's ever been before. So it'll work to everyone's benefit, and we're looking forward to that. But just want to let you know, but the Founders Trading Post store, where you will be able to start purchasing next Black Friday, will begin your tickets if you want to win the Merry Manly, have yourself a merry or manly little Christmas sweepstakes. Guys, ladies, the grand prize is an AR-15 donated by Daedalus Tactical. I autographed the stock, and Corey took it a month or so ago, and he brought it to someone that varnished or shellacked it so that the Sharpie won't ever rub off. And that's going to be the stock that's going to be attached to the AR. Yeah, and of course, Corey is legit. He's legal. He is an FFL. So he's a dealer, in other words. So you will ultimately get the weapon from him, but he has donated it to the contest this year. Isn't that an exciting prize? That you can actually win a real live AR, plus a Dolls from Heaven, a Mary doll. Where do you see the prayer plaques that 53 Ford truck has made for some of the other prize kits? The Pater Noster, the Ave Maria, the Gloria on beautiful white oak wood. It's wood burned into it this time. He's routed the edges, just ready to hang on the wall, including the thing on the back, the plaque where you just hang it on a nail or a screw. Beautifully and professionally done. It's going to be our biggest On-air contest, the Merry and Manly Little Christmas contest will begin next Monday, Monday, December the 2nd. And I'll tell you about what's next Friday's programming. Black Friday's program is going to be all about next week. Before we go to Magdalene, I want you to play a couple of clips of Pam Bondi, future Attorney General of the United States. Digital media file number 8 and number 9. This is the woman that is going to take over for Merrick Garland. Now, I wonder right now if Garland is scurrying about the various halls of the Justice Department, instructing people on which bodies to find and then where to hide them or to bring them to the incinerator and have them burned. You imagine and they're not supposed to destroy this stuff, so I don't know if they did. And if they did, I hope he goes to jail for the rest of his life. Can you imagine the digital paper trail that is inside the Justice Department that contains the communications between Garland, his deputy assistant attorneys, et cetera, and the Biden regime people that were responsible for the lawfare against Trump? I can't wait to hear what has been removed. For example, communication between Fonnie Willis and it's Fat Alvin and Fat Alvin Bragg and others, between low-level or mid-level or maybe even Garland himself, members of the Injustice Department. Remember, this is a government entity. They're not supposed to destroy any records. If they got a communication, it is supposed to be preserved. That's a law. They tried to take Trump out with that law. So here's Pam Bondi on the Trump impeachment trial 1.0.
Chief Justice, Senators. Senators, you heard our answer regarding that yesterday, but it is very interesting that he said he never spoke to his son about overseas dealings. His son said different things. Joe Biden was the point man for Ukraine, investigating, at the time, Ukrainians were a corrupt company, Burisma, and Zlochevsky, its owner, an oligarch who, by all media accounts we've discussed, was extremely corrupt. Hunter Biden is paid $83,000 a month to sit on that board with no experience in energy, no experience in the Ukraine, doesn't speak the language, and we clearly know that he had a very fancy job description, and he did none of those things. He attended 1 or 2 board meetings, one in Monaco, and then he went on a fishing trip with Joe Biden's family in Norway. The entire time, Joe Biden knows that this oligarch is corrupt. Everyone knows that. There are news reports everywhere. No one will dispute that. In fact, it raised eyebrows worldwide. But the vice president, by his account, never once asked his son to leave the board. We wouldn't be sitting here if he did. He never asked his son to leave the board. Instead, he started investigating the prosecutor who was going after Burisma and this corrupt oligarch who they say was corrupt even by oligarch standards, who had fled the country, living in Monaco. He does not ask him to leave the board. He does the opposite. In 2015, what does he do? We know by reports he has close contact with President Poroshenko. He travels to Ukraine twice. He links it to the fire. He links the aid to the firing. Same thing in 2016 at a White House meeting. Links the aid to the firing of the prosecutor. Calls him 4 times in the 8 days up to leading to the prosecutor. The prosecutor investigating Hunter Biden, yet he never says that. All cases closed. Days before Biden leaves office, he jokes to Poroshenko that he may have to call him every couple weeks to check in. Hunter Biden stays on that board for 3 years. 3 years. Then we hear the video of Joe Biden bragging about firing the prosecutor, linking it to aid.
We all
then
heard
we
it.
have the 6-minute phone call.
That's just an example of Pam Bondi. By the by, I can completely, those of you that are new listeners and don't know, I can completely and totally vouch for all of that. I narrated a series by French journalist Olivier Bourrier, and it was called UkraineGate.info. You can still watch the videos. You'll hear my voice on the narration on episodes 4 and 5. And I was fascinated by all this. And I can tell you that not only was Hunter involved and Joe involved, Devon Archer was as dirty. I never got why Devon Archer agreed to sit down with Tucker Carlson. And Tucker never revisited that. And I still to this day, because I know that the country of Latvia put warrants out for Devon Archer and Hunter Biden because they were laundering money from the UK to Latvia and then tax-free sending it back to Ukraine so it could be dispersed to them. These people are criminals. They're as crooked as the day is long. Some of the bodies are buried, and I say bodies, I mean figuratively speaking, at the Injustice Department. It is a federal crime to destroy records of any administration. If they don't destroy the records, then people in the Biden regime are going to go to jail, and they should. And I hope they go to jail for the rest of their natural-born lives. And I hope that that is the chastisement that is brought upon these demonic whores that run the deep state, and to send a signal and a message out there. Government is here to serve the people. We can argue about the size and scope of it. That's all fine, and I think that we should, and we will. We can argue about whether or not we want a monarch to return. I'm perfectly fine with it. I've advocated for it. I think it actually, it ultimately is what's going to happen. It's the Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King. But until it happens, we have these things called representative governments. And by the way, for those of you to go, I'm not doing anything until I see St. King Louis the 19th riding down the street. Okay, well, you wait for that, okay? Enjoy that. The Vatican has kept basically a Secretary of State or states very close to the Holy Father for a millennia. More than a millennia. Why? Because the Holy Father has a moral duty to represent Christ in all the affairs of men. Not some of them, not the one. Now, obviously he's not let in. Obviously he's not consulted. But in Christendom, yes, he was. You know, there's an idea, there's this thing out there that Ben Shapiro, little Ben Shapiro. Yeah, buy a mattress with it. Don't buy it for the KingDude. Use my coupon code when you go to mybello.com. No, don't use KingDude. Don't use his. Is out there again, basically slandering rather. It's libeling. He's libeling Christ and the Holy Father. Basically saying Francis ought to pipe down, sit down, shut up, and keep your. Now look, and this is not an apologia for Pope Francis. This is for popes in general, saying he doesn't have any business butting his nose into the affairs of state, certain countries. And I'm like hell, he doesn't. All of that wrapped up will bring us to Magdalene Rose, our political affairs correspondent. By the way, we have a soundbite. You'd have to hear it through a translator, so I'll just tell you what it says. From Vladimir Putin, America is pushing the world into global conflict. We believe it is a mistake on part of U.S. to destroy Missile Treaty of 2019. We see U.S. and their allies are considering and testing their capabilities to deploy missile systems in other parts of the world. Russia unilaterally refused to deploy Russian missiles. We did an operational test as a response to decision-making by U.S. Other actions will be considered based on what we see from America. Thank you, Vlad out. In other words, dude, if I want to, I'll roll a hypersonic missile out and I will wipe Kiev from the face of Earth. And you won't stop it, Joe. Vladimir. And Putin's the bad guy? He's the one going like, I'm not going to do it. I could, but I'm not going to do it. I pray President Trump can see logically and diplomatically through what's happening here and bring it to an end. Magdalene, I say that the Gaetz confirmation or the Gaetz nomination was never a nomination. Gaetz was sent in there to gather what intel he could, that it was always going to be Pam Bondi. And as I said earlier today, with that move, and then with Gaetz being withdrawn yesterday, all Trump did was basically this. He rickrolled the RINOs in the Senate. Now, he already knew who they were, but I'm sure that Gaetz was able to gather some intel. What are young conservatives and liberals saying about this chain of events?
Well, I think one of the main things is that those more moderate Republicans, the ones who maybe are RINOs or maybe are just not super Trump people, they firmly believe that Gaetz was a real nominee and that Kevin McCarthy, the former Speaker of the House, torpedoed that nomination. And the reason for that is because Kevin McCarthy's been very vocal on Capitol Hill. He's been meeting with senators. He has had a real presence. And people have been wondering why that is. And I think it's because he hates Matt Gaetz. He firmly believes Matt Gaetz is the reason why he's no longer Speaker, why he's not Speaker during this historic time. I think Trump still would have won with Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. So he would be having a historic time with great support and hanging out with Elon Musk. And I think that he is responsible in the minds of a lot of conservatives for the end of the Gaetz nomination. People do think that it was a real nomination, that Gaetz really wanted it. A lot of people know his wife, Ginger, and she was very much in favor of it. It seemed like she thought it was real too. So it seems like Kevin McCarthy may have torpedoed the Gaetz nomination.
Yeah, I don't doubt that McCarthy was, and again, if it was a trolling expedition and if it was to gather intel, then you would want to know which members of the Senate were still getting some barking orders, if you will, or some marching orders from someone like Kevin McCarthy. I don't know what role McCarthy thinks he's going to play by doing this. Regardless, we'll find out soon enough, because when the fate of Matt Gaetz is told, that will tell us a lot about what happened yesterday.
Yes, and I think that one of the things is Pam Bondi in some ways is a very sort of obvious choice because she's a former attorney general. She does not have the personal baggage that many of his nominees have. She will sail through confirmation, maybe not as easy as Marco Rubio will, but I think she will sail through. And it's not as if you can say she's unqualified either.
No.
So I think Pam Bondi kind of was sort of like a rule-out choice. She was capable. She wanted the job. Trump trusts her. But she will not necessarily be as incendiary as Matt Gaetz was. And honestly, I did question whether or not Matt Gaetz could do the job at the level someone with real experience could. Because aside from loyalty to Trump, we have serious problems in this country surrounding drug trafficking and illegal immigration. And as much as it's necessary for Trump to have the guy he likes, it's also necessary for us to win court cases. So I'm not unhappy about the Pam Bondi situation.
Well, I'm not unhappy about it, and I don't think most people are, except unless they're Democrats, are going like, there's no reason, or there really is. How do you oppose this nominee? They're not going to. I'll just say again, for the sake of argument, that I think that this was that, and look. In order to sell this, you would have to have some commitment. You'd have to have some buy-in from Matt Gaetz. Because you'd have to tell him, look, dude, this is how this is going to go down. But at the end of the day, now look, Matt Gaetz, Magdalene, has all the cards. Matt Gaetz has all the cards on his side of the card table. He can, when there was a runoff for the seat that he resigned from, there's no rule, there's no law that says that he can't run for that seat. He'll win it easily. There's no rule and there's no law that says that DeSantis can't just, you know what, I'm just going to appoint Matt to go back to that seat. He could easily do that. Once Marco Rubio is confirmed, then he has to appoint a replacement for Marco Rubio. There's no rule that says that Matt Gaetz could not be appointed United States Senator. There's no rule that says that Trump couldn't appoint Matt Gaetz to a post inside the Trump administration that does not require Senate confirmation. So at the end of the day, this is a good trade for the Gaetz family. They gave up a seat in Congress. They acted as though, and let's just pretend that we don't know right now, but they acted as though that this was a real deal, and this was a confirmation that he was going to become AG. Regardless, at the end of the day, as it sits here today, Matt Gaetz is in a far more powerful position, politically speaking, than he ever would have been just hanging out and helping Marjorie Taylor Greene or whoever in the House of Representatives.
And I think that is true. The one thing I will say is that the DeSantis sort of circle and team are being quite clear that they don't think he'll be appointed to the Senate. Sources around DeSantis, and DeSantis' team does not really leak. They're very, very tight. So if you get a source around DeSantis, if anybody speaks, it's from DeSantis. And he's made it very clear it's not going to be Senate. Laura Trump is being floated much more so for that Marco Rubio Senate seat. And I think in general, Matt Gaetz is looking more at an appointment that does not require Senate confirmation in the Trump administration. With Matthew Whitaker heading to ambassador to NATO, and just side note, good luck to NATO with Matthew Whitaker as ambassador to NATO. I think that there are spots within the Justice Department. One thing that's been floated is the chief of staff to the attorney general, because that does not require Senate confirmation. It's a very powerful position, and it's something that if Matt Gaetz had, he could help protect Trump even without having to be in the role, because it would be, what is the attorney general going to focus on that day, which is very important for Trump.
Yeah, there's a lot of things, and J.D. Vance kind of alluded to that, and my friend Matt Gaetz is going to go far. Can't wait to see what's on the next page. And Gaetz retweeted back, well, that's fantastic, and it may be another post and not this one. Remains to be seen here. Another thing that is kind of bubbling out there beneath the surface, as most of these positions are being filled. So let's talk about DeSantis and about that Senate pick with Lara Trump being floated out there. This is to gauge, I think, this is a bit of a trial balloon. If you're someone that knows Governor DeSantis, advise him that Lara Trump would be a pro-life, unmitigated, pro-abort disaster for the state of Florida, which just convincingly voted to not amend its constitution to kill babies. Governor DeSantis is as pro-life as any governor and as any man in the United States, and so is his wife. To appoint someone that is basically I don't even say she's moderate, that is very very pro-choice, almost like Democrat pro-choice is Lara Trump, to me would be a betrayal of the people of Florida. I don't think DeSantis is going to do it, but if he's thinking about it, I hope that people that are Catholic and wise and pro-life around him will tell him, you can't do that. That is, you'll be betraying. You campaigned against Amendment 4. She is the end. She was for it. You can't do that, Governor.
Have to remember, I'm sure you've seen those photos of Tulsi Gabbard and RFK and Trump and others lined up and says everyone in this photo used to be a Democrat. As funny and quippy as that is, we are the Republican Party. We are conservatives. We do have basic morals here. And this is really my fear with Tulsi Gabbard. As much as it might be nice to have Democrats, and I welcome their support in getting elected and their expertise where they can, but we are the Republican Party.
Yes.
We cannot be run by Democrats. We cannot be told what to do by Democrats. So I hope that DeSantis, being the pro-life, very conservative governor that he is, looks around and finds I'd like him to find somebody else who has some experience in public office, who has a good mind, who needs a boost nationally, and put them in that seat. Let's even more grow our Republican bench, elevate a congressman, a former mayor, someone conservative without baggage, that's not going to be a distraction, who can help get things done. It's a solid vote, and can learn from Rick Scott, who will at that point be the senior senator from Florida. Let's launch a career instead of feeding in more to giving Democrats everything they want. Laura Trump at a base level is still completely unqualified for the job she's in. Just because she won an election doesn't mean we should be elevating her to Senate. We should be keeping her where she is and hoping it goes well.
I agree. Don from the Bronx 2 weeks ago said one of the favorites to be nominated to Rubio's Senate seat, if indeed that is necessary, is Ron DeSantis as chief of staff, who was a devout Catholic and weekly attendee of the traditional Roman rite. So we'll keep an eye on all that. Magdalene, we got to go. Time's up. Thanks for this week. Appreciate it. Hugs and kisses to Benna. We'll see you next week.
Thank you very much. Bye.
All right, folks, that wraps the weekend, but don't touch that dial. Free Farm Friday is a must-see, must-listen-to episode. It's coming up in just moments here on the Crusade Radio Network. Remember, go update your credit cards if you're a Founders Pass member. Please go update your credit cards. There are over almost 100 of you who are expired right now and whose Founders Pass memberships and subscriptions are going to lapse. Many of you for an entire year. Go to crusadechannel.com and log into your account. Click the My Account tab under Options, and you'll see it right there. Update your card. Any difficulty with that, send Maggie an email or give us a call, 844-527-8723. God bless you. Merry keep you. See you for Free Farm Friday in a minute.
And join the laid-back live talk and chat room radio that is the Midday Show with Fiorella De Maria. Weekdays, 11 noon Central on the Crusade Radio Network. Live talk radio the way it should be.
The Crusade Channel On Demand presents the Deliver Us From Evil tapes, the series featuring former NYPD Sergeant Ralph Sarchi.
Legend states that the Wantor Indians would use that area as sacred ground. They would let their enemies die there, and it is said that they would usually do that with them face down.
The Deliver Us From Evil tapes, the series featuring Ralph Sarchi. Real-life stories of the battle against the underworld, demons, and the people they prowl the world looking to ruin. Exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Listen or download the Deliver Us From Evil tapes, Piercing Truth, the Mike Church Show compilations, Mike's feature recordings, and hundreds of other titles in the Crusade Channel On Demand store at crusadechannel.com.
We all have concerns about the future of America, and those concerns include your family's survival in an emergency. Hi, folks, it's Mike Church, and my friends at Legacy Food Storage take your concerns seriously and will help you prepare for almost any disruptions. Now, most prepper companies just want to sell you products, but not Legacy Food Storage. They can provide for all your emergency needs, from survival gear, power and lighting, to emergency food, and they specialize in educating their clients before and after the sale. And to make sure your food storage pack is the best the survival industry has to offer, try the sample before you buy option for less than $50. Make your family's plan for disruptions, whatever they may be, with Legacy Food Storage at legacyfoodstorage.com. Use the coupon code KingDude for 10% off any order, and every order is shipped for free. Secure your family's emergency plans with the trusted leader, Legacy Food Storage at legacyfoodstorage.com. Coupon code KingDude.
You're listening to the Crusade Channel, a Black Hat Studios media property, broadcasting live 24/7 from Madisonville, Louisiana, and to the world via crusadechannel.com.
Crusade Channel News. News you can trust, because the truth can be trusted. From the Crusade Channel News Desk, here's Janet Huxley.
Good morning, Crusaders. Welcome to Friday, November 22nd, 2024. I'm Janet Huxley, reporting for the Crusade Radio Network News Desk, live from the Dothan Farm and Ranch, south of Kansas City, Missouri. This report is brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that has won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. Here's what to listen for this hour. The next Attorney General has been selected. Democrat Bob Casey concedes Pennsylvania Senate race, ending recount. Biden administration forms Congress. It will forgive $5 billion in economic loans to Ukraine. And a 5th century amulet depicting the demon-fighting King Solomon has been found by archaeologists in Turkey. President-elect Trump announced last evening he's nominating former Attorney General of Florida Pam Bondi as the next Attorney General of the U.S. Trump's latest cabinet pick replaces Matt Gaetz, the former Florida representative and nominee for Attorney General, who yesterday withdrew as Trump's pick for the top prosecutor after the distraction his nomination had caused due to a swirl of allegations about paying underage women for sex. Pam was a prosecutor for nearly 20 years, where she was very tough on violent criminals and made the streets safe for Florida families, Trump wrote in his announcement. Then, as Florida's first female attorney general, she worked to stop the trafficking of deadly drugs and reduce the tragedy of fentanyl overdose deaths, which have destroyed many families across our country. She did such an incredible job that I asked her to serve on our Opioid and Drug Abuse Commission during my first term. We saved many lives. Pennsylvania Democrat Senator Bob Casey yesterday announced finally he's conceding the race to Republican candidate Dave McCormick, putting an end to a lengthy...
Hey, Tracy, you good to go?
Hey, Mike.
Yep.
What?
Oh, you're good. Just checking the mic. We're all good. Can you pan your camera down a little bit?
Give me about 2 seconds. I sure can. I think.
Keep going. Good. Right there. Perfect. All right. Stand by.
Wednesday, Congress has appropriated more than $175 billion for Ukraine since Russia's invasion in February of 2022. Our quote of the day, "Everything I own really belongs to the poor," St. Elizabeth of Hungary. And coming up, our saint of the day. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
If you're on a quest to make the perfect steak, then you need the perfect steak seasoning for that. And my Acadiana steak seasoning is the perfect choice because unlike many off-the-shelf rubs, Acadiana is nearly salt-free, so you control the quantity of salt to your taste. For steaks, I like to use a healthy dose of very coarse grind kosher salt, and I heavily season both sides to make a blackened sear. Acadiana is also great on seafood and veggies, too. Pick up a bag or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com.
Our saint of the day is Saint Cecilia. Although Cecilia is one of the most famous of the Roman martyrs, the familiar stories about her are apparently not founded on authentic material. There is no trace of honor being paid her in early times. A fragmentary inscription of the late 4th century refers to a church named after her, and a feast was celebrated at least in 545. According to legend, Cecilia was a young Christian of high rank betrothed to a Roman named Valerian. Through her influence, Valerian was converted and was martyred along with his brother. The legend about Cecilia's death says that after being struck 3 times on the neck with a sword, she lived for 3 days and asked the Pope to convert her home into a church. Since the time of the Renaissance, she has usually been portrayed with a viola or a small organ. A 5th century amulet depicting the demon-fighting King Solomon has been found by archaeologists in Turkey, referencing a book banned from the Bible for including themes of dark magic. The amulet was found among the ruins of a military structure in an ancient quarter of the Turkish city of Paphlagonia by archaeologists from Karabük University. That city would have been under the rule of the Roman Empire at the time the amulet was made and worn. On the object is a depiction of King Solomon riding a horse, who, according to the apocryphal text, the Testament of Solomon, was given a magic ring by the Archangel Michael. The names of 4 archangels were also inscribed on the back of the amulet: Azrael, Gabriel, Michael, and Israfil, all carved in Greek. While Solomon is a well-known biblical fixture, the amulet is an apparent reference to the apocryphal text, the Testament of Solomon, and that testament is not considered a canonical work by either Christians or Jews. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
The antidote for the civilization-killing epidemic of low testosterone. The High T Mike Church Show is on the Crusade Radio Network. Weekdays, 6 to 9 a.m. Central on the Crusade Radio Network. Live talk radio the way it should be.
All right, everybody sing along at home.
Green Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life for me. Land spreading out so far and wide. Keep Manhattan, just give me that countryside.
New York is where I'd rather stay. I get allergic smelling hay. I but give me Park Avenue.
All right, everybody. The chores.
The stores.
Fresh air.
Times Square.
You are my wife.
Goodbye, city life.
Green Acres, we are there. And this is a very, very special, spectacular episode of Free Farm Friday here. Our ongoing, in our 4th year now, of discussion of regenerative and organic farming here on the Crusade Radio Network and the Mike Church Show here. All episodes of Free Farm Friday available as free podcasts at crusadechannel.com. And you can find all of them there. Look us up there on the site at crusadechannel.com, and you'll also find a previous episode where we had Tracy Staller on, who's on our Dude Maker hotline here with us, where we talked about fish farms and about how you can actually organically and regeneratively actually grow fish in tanks in a garage or in a barn or even in your house. And you can do this successfully, and you can harvest the meat, and you get a lot of other things and a lot of other benefits out of the fish, including fertilizer and such. So that episode was probably from 2.5, 3 years ago. In any event, Tracy is here with us, and many of you may not know that I guess he doubles as Santa Claus for the local fair every year. Tracy Staller, welcome to this episode of Free Farm Friday.
Thanks, Mike. Glad to be here.
I didn't know. You heard me one day talking about wheat. You heard me talking about it. I remember exactly what I said. What I said was, why can't I be like a European and drink all the beer and eat all the pasta that I want and not grow this ginormous belly? Because most Italians aren't fat. Most Mediterranean people in the Mediterranean aren't big people like us, obese. And I genuinely did not know the answer to that. Well, Tracy sent me an email, and he said, I can tell you exactly why that is. And it's because of the wheat. Now, most Americans just don't know this. You know, you think the breadbasket, you see the amber waves of grain, and the wheat swaying in the wind is as American as anything. It's in Budweiser commercials. It's in commercials for NFL games. It's red, white, and it's the ingredient in apple pies, for example, here. And that's all fine and dandy, and it should be fine and dandy, but that's not what it is. And it's not that way because of something that began 6 decades ago that we have been stuck with ever since. But now we have a real opportunity here with RFK Jr. going to the HHS to actually do something about this. But why don't we start at the beginning, Tracy? What happened to the wheat supply?
Well, basically what happened is back in 1940, I'll say the prideful we decided that traditional grains were just too inefficient. We couldn't grow enough of them. They needed too much land. They were too susceptible to disease and insects. And so let's call them the ubiquitous they. We always talk about they did this and they did that. Well, they decided that they needed to work on this. And so the Rockefeller Foundation funded the Mexican Agriculture Program. Now, they first started with corn because that's what the Mexicans ate. That was the staple product of their diet. And so they started hybridizing corn so they could improve the yields. Now, Mexico was a perfect place to do it because if they go down to the southeast portion of Mexico, just south and east of Mexico City in the Chapingo region, they get an early growing season, and then they get a late growing season up in the northwest in the Sonora region. So they can grow one crop in Chapingo, take the seeds from there, grow them plant them and grow them in Sonora the same year, and then shuttle the seeds right back over to Topingo for the spring season. So they can get 2 years of hybridization in a year. And they did that with corn. And corn is a fairly stable grain. I mean, modern corn still has its issues, and a lot of the problems we see with the high fructose levels and the issues with corn, that's all part of this the Mexican agriculture program. But the real problem was in wheat.
Okay.
And basically what happened is as they hybridized it, they did no testing. They didn't see if the human body would actually tolerate the wheat or not. They just looked for the characteristics they wanted. Were the heads getting bigger? Were the seeds getting bigger? Were they hybridized it with a short dwarf stalk? So instead of those 4-foot amber waves of grain that we always used to sing about as kids,
right?
Now they were 2 feet tall plants that didn't wave in the grain, in the wind. And so as they did this, a lot of things crept in. And because they weren't doing any kind of safety or digestibility testing, they didn't know that there were problems. Or I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say they didn't know. I know we have people we have a bunch of conspiracy theorists, which I tend to put my tinfoil hat on once in a while, that would say that it was on purpose, but.
Well, the Rockefeller Foundation was involved, so people are going to say
exactly. That. I mean, they were responsible for the entire medical change from a holistic approach into modern commercial medicine and pharmaceuticals. So, hey, you got to wonder if it wasn't all part of the plan.
Well, let me ask you a question as we go along here with Tracy Staller, and we're going to learn everything you ever wanted to know about wheat, but we're afraid to ask. Why did the plant, if it's becoming more powerful, why is the plant getting shorter?
Well, they had to shorten the stalk because they were increasing the size of the head. So you had a very heavy head of seeds, right?
Okay, I get it.
If you got a long stalk, it's going to fall over. So they hybridized it with a short grass that had a short stalk so that it could support that head.
Now, let me just stop you right there. Okay, again, folks, I'll try not to interrupt too much. But this just reminds me of the scene in Jurassic Park where the DNA guy is going like, well, if there was a gap in the DNA, how did you finish up the sequence to make a dino? And he goes, aha, well, we just took a strand of frog and put the frog in there. And so when you said they inserted a strand of grass in there, it's just the same thing. So you're altering the actual structure then of the DNA or the RNA, whatever a plant has, of how it actually of the instruction set of what it tells it to grow by.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And so with plants, what's interesting is everything in the progenitor species of the grain is maintained. So if you take most of the early modern wheat or the early wheat, they were either 14 or 28 chromosome wheats.
Okay.
By the time they ended with in 1965, the modern wheat and some of the 1940s wheats as well were 48 chromosome wheats. And so they've got all these extra chromosomes which carry along all of the proteins, all of the carbohydrates that the grains had before, all of the oils. And so if we fast forward into the mid 1960s and 1965, what we ended up was a wheat that had 17 additional gluten proteins in it.
So that's sugar. That's sugar. Gluten is sugar.
Well, gluten is protein. So
okay,
that's
protein.
That's protein. Now, the problem is the protein is what causes, or the sensitivity to that protein is what causes celiac disease, causes inflammation. And of those 17, there are 7 that have definitely been identified as proteins that are not tolerated at all by the majority of the population. So most of us who are more sensitive than others, when we go back to a heritage grain like we've gotten from, like I've been buying from Hayden flour mills, you all of a sudden notice that you're not tired after you eat it.
Yes.
You're not bloated. And we'll get into the other things, but you know, these grains, as they hybridized them, you ended up increasing the amount of carbohydrates in the grain heads, in the grain seeds. So now you had more and more amylopectin A, which is the primary carbohydrate in wheat. Now, the problem with it is it's almost entirely converted to sugar when it's metabolized. And it does so very easily in the body. And so these wheat heads, which are now almost 70% by weight amylopectin A, is basically pure sugar.
So so it wouldn't matter then if you're getting gold medal Pillsbury flour or whatever brand of flour, even if it's King Arthur, which I use King Arthur. That comes from the same wheat plant that is. You're getting a flour then that does not have the chemical structure of wheat any longer. Now it basically has, if I'm understanding you correctly, it now basically has the chemical and the biological structure of a piece of a stalk of sugar cane.
Very, very close. I mean, it's high carbohydrate, much higher than it used to be, and it's higher in protein. Because there's more weight, you've got more proteins, and the proteins that are there are not well tolerated. And just to give you an idea, you know, you look at the glycemic index for whole wheat bread now is 79. By comparison, cane sugar is 59.
Wow.
And you want to know what else is even healthier than whole wheat bread now?
What?
On a pound by pound basis, Mars bars have a glycemic index of 68, and Snickers bars that are about 41.
So eat a Snickers instead of a piece of bread.
Eat a Snickers instead of a piece of bread. I mean,
see, when women are hangry, then if you don't want to get fat and you're hangry, then defer to a Snickers bar. We're on this Free Farm Friday episode with our friend Tracy Stoller, who studies and actually doesn't just study this stuff, but gives advice and can give us the history. And also the important thing is, after we discover a little bit more about what the problem is, then is there a solution? So let's go back to, so you have the glycemic index. Again, what was the number again?
For whole bread?
Yes.
For whole wheat, 79.
What is it for white bread?
White bread is just slightly lower. It's about 72.
Okay. So and now, by comparison, what is an einhorn or one of the whole grains that's grown by Hayden Mills, for example, Hayden flour mills? What do they come in at?
It depends. The einkorn wheats are down in the 40s. These white Sonora wheats they're a little higher. They're up in the right around 60.
Okay.
Mid 50s to 60s, but they are, you don't have the other issues, and I'll get into those here in a few minutes. But one of the things that got me started, if you don't mind, I'm going to back up a little bit.
All right.
and talk a little bit about what started me down this road. Because yeah, I do a lot of research, but I do it kind of on my own. And a good friend of mine who knows my struggles with being a 3X fat bastard all my life, he kept giving me books on fad diets, you know, those ones that we all get that don't do everything in moderation. They say you eat all meat, or you eat all carbohydrates, or you don't eat anything at all. And I've tried them all, you know, the Atkins and the blood type diet and the keto and the carnivore. And then he handed me this book, and I says, oh yeah, oh great, another fad diet, right? And I opened the book up and I was like, wait a minute, this guy's got 420 references to the scientific literature in here.
Okay.
Maybe there's something to it. And so I started reading that literature. And that's where I learned all this about the Mexican agriculture program, what's going on with the wheat itself. And in there, of course, he advocates getting rid of wheat altogether.
Now, this book is called what?
I Can't Live Without Bread.
All right. What is the book called? What was the book called?
It's called Wheat Belly, and it's written by William Davis. And it changed my whole thinking about wheat and what the problem was. And so as I began looking, one of his first challenges was, go back and look at your grandparents and great-grandparents' photo albums. How many obese adults do you see in those?
None.
None, exactly. How many 200-pound teenagers do you see in them?
None.
None. You know, and then he asks, okay, did your grandparents go to the gym every day? Did they go out running around the neighborhood in scantily clad clothing? No. Most of them, by comparison to today, led fairly sedentary lifestyles. But they weren't 300, 400 pounds. What happened? Well, we had the, what do you call it? Was it the American Heart Association? Were those the evil ones that did this and convinced us that meat, tallow, and lard were demonic and needed to be replaced with healthy whole grains?
Yes.
And seed oils. And that's really what started all this. And so we went down. So I said, okay, obviously there was something that changed. And it changed a generation before, you know, it changed in the 60s.
And I can remember, Tracy, if I could just interject something real quick for our audience. Tracy Stoller is our special guest. I can remember when I was a little children watching network TV, the lady who was the mom on the Brady Bunch, Florence Henderson. I remember, you're nodding your head, I remember her doing the Wesson oil commercial. She'd come on and she would say, oh, this is wonderful new Wesson oil. I fry in 100% vegetable oil now from Wesson oil. And it's got a nice sweet taste to it and everything. So they introduced these seed oils to us as better tasting, right? So much more convenient. The poor animals didn't have to die. You know, it was a miracle that we could get this Crisco and stuff. But I remember Florence Henderson doing the Wesson oil commercials back in the mid 70s when I was a small boy. I just wanted to interject that because you'd have to have the media go along with this, and you'd have to have big industry go along with it, and they obviously did.
Yeah. Well, and remember, what is a seed oil? A seed oil is from a seed, right?
Right.
The thing wheat is a seed. So those toxins are still in wheat. And they've been multiplied in these newer wheats because we've hybridized them with the same seed plants that we're using for oil.
Okay.
So that's something to keep in mind as far as what modern wheat goes. So we basically went back and threw out that great lesson from history about consuming things in moderation and doing things in moderation, right? So, you know, we've got the meats and fats are bad. We need to eat whole grains. So now we make this modern wheat that not only does it have so much more sugar, the proteins in it, especially these new gluten proteins that I mentioned that weren't well tolerated and weren't well digested in the body.
Right.
Well, when the body digests proteins, they break it down into the amino acids. Well, some of these it can't break down, so they break down into what's called a polypectin. Okay, and it's just a short protein chain, or a short chain of amino acids. Well, interestingly enough, these polypectins in modern wheat act like opiates. So much so that, have you ever heard of the drug naloxone?
Naloxone, no.
How about Narcan?
Yes. Narcan I have heard of.
Okay. Well, Narcan acts against these polypectins just like opiates. And the researchers that found this out call them exorphins. Basically, they elicit opiate reactions in the brain. So they act like morphine to the brain.
Okay.
So now you've got a highly addictive wheat that you're feeding everybody. You ever wonder why you're constantly craving food when you eat wheats? You eat bread, an hour later, after your blood sugar has spiked and you've gone into that carbohydrate crash, and now all of a sudden you're hungry again.
Yes.
That is the effect of these polypectins, these exorphins. So now you've got everybody not only eating an unhealthy wheat that's not well tolerated, that causes inflammation, that causes bloating, and causes high blood sugar. You've made them addicted to it.
So now you crave more.
Now you crave more, and you crave more, and you eat more, and next thing you know, you're a 4X fat bastard.
Now I'm wondering also if there's because you say inflammation, is there a tie-in then? Is this why there has been just a massive spike and an increase plaque psoriasis?
Absolutely, those proteins all are responsible in some way or aggravate a lot of your autoimmune disorders.
Makes sense.
Psoriasis, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, IBS. All of those things are aggravated by these gluten proteins in the modern wheat. And of course, the biggest one we hear about all the time is celiac disease. And that one is a direct product of these gluten proteins. So, that's, and not only there, it doesn't end there. There's evidence that it aggravates schizophrenia. It aggravates a lot of other mental disorders. So, I mean, it's amazing how nasty this modern wheat is.
Now, most people are going to ask the question, well, is there an alternative today? Is there a way that you can get out of this? And we're with our friend Tracy Stoller here. We're learning about the Mexican Agriculture Project and funded by the Rockefeller Foundation, and then what has been done to fundamentally transform American wheat. Now, it's an interesting little sidebar here, folks, if you're watching at home. If you've ever traveled abroad, Maggie, can you quickly tell the story of Aunt? Okay. I don't remember the whole thing. Okay, so she went to Greece. Maggie's Aunt Hope went to Greece. and said,
so both of my aunts went to Greece, and they were both on a diet prior to, and she had some success. She was losing weight. She goes to Greece. She ate pasta and bread and everything every single day, 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And she actually lost weight for the week that she was there.
Right, and she couldn't figure out why. Well, now we know why, because in Europe, this stuff never happened. So Europe is still, if you buy Paulaner beer, for example, and you wonder, why does it taste so just organically sweet? Well, it's because it has real natural heirloom wheat in it, and there is none of this crap. If you get, now Maggie and I started buying this until we could figure out how to make our own, Tracy. We buy pasta that is made from Italy, and I actually took your advice and I looked at the label to make sure it wasn't made from imported American wheat, which they'll do to you. No, it's 100% organically grown Italian wheat. So you can get, the point is you can get yourself off of this. There are alternatives. And then Tracy mentioned the diseases. Celiac, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammatory bowel disease. There's so many people have IBS now. Ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease. There's a massive spike in Crohn's disease. And then another one that you don't mention here, but there's another one that Hollywood and Madison Avenue have assisted in, and that's osteoporosis. Now the pharmaceutical industry has jumped in, and they're a willing partner now with Big Ag. Hey, don't worry about it. Just take Ozempic now, or whatever the drug is for osteoporosis, right?
Yep. Well, and it's interesting, where osteoporosis really comes from, and there's a lot of new research on it. When the blood in the body needs to be right around a pH of 7, right, almost dead neutral. But when you eat grains, it makes the blood in the body acidic, puts you into acidosis.
All right.
The body has only one real long-term way to adjust the pH of the blood, and it's stored in the body, and it's calcium, and it's in the bones.
Oh.
So if you're constantly eating healthy, just high grain diets, you're going to start pulling away the calcium out of your bones and causing osteoporosis. Now, interestingly, if you eat meat, guess what it does? It puts you into alkalosis, and it raises the blood pH. And so now you can offset the effect of grains. So, eating a balanced meat and grain diet is really what we were designed to do. It maintains that neutral pH, and it keeps us from having issues with osteoporosis as we age, because we don't put that calcium back over time.
And that's okay. So this might explain why, help, I've fallen and I can't get up. So many of our, as El Rushbo used to call them, seasoned citizens, minor falls, broken hips. It's the number one thing now. Well, she didn't even fall that far. Doesn't matter. This is because they probably have mild levels of osteoporosis. We probably all do. That a minor fall, you're probably going to break your hip or your pelvis. Explains a lot. All right. So what happens to the body then if you're able to identify this? Okay. And you then can make a conscious effort to use tallows, meats, and then the kind of grains that you and I are talking about. And again, there's more than one mill that you can get this at. What then can we reverse this awful health status if we commit to it?
Yes, absolutely can. I can tell you I started using heritage grain products, heritage wheat products, about 3 months ago.
Okay.
In that time, I've lost 15 pounds with no additional effort. I've almost completely eliminated my reflux.
When you say you mean acid reflux?
Acid reflux. Okay. I've suffered from GERD so bad that I've been on proton pump inhibitors daily for the last 10 years. So I've been taking Prilosec for 10 years just to keep it to my reflux to a tolerable level where it doesn't erode my esophagus. That's pretty much gone. I've just about completely dropped off of those. Type 2 diabetes, that's a huge one. Your blood sugar spikes. You're constantly eating these amylopectin A laced breads and products. My blood sugar is leveled out now, and I'm slowly getting things to where I don't have the insulin resistance that I had before, and I can eat breads without having huge blood sugar spikes. And all of this will reverse itself. Another one, I talked about the being addicted. I barely want to eat 3 meals a day now.
Wow.
I can sometimes eat 2. I'll eat breakfast and I'll eat dinner, and that's about it. So I don't have that hunger. I'm not constantly trying to find a snack. I mean, that was you'd always you sit there and you're going, I need something to keep me going.
And if I could just interject here again, if you're trying to figure out, well, Mike, I'm not quite understanding. This stuff is ubiquitous. You combine what Tracy and I are talking about, which is the wheat, which is everywhere. Go to McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's, you're getting a bun, okay? It's got it in it. There's so much stuff that has wheat in it. Just read the ingredient label. Now, you mentioned corn. You may think, well, I don't do a lot of wheat product. I do a lot of corn. Well, we started with it. They started the Mexican Agriculture Project with corn. So has the corn been altered so that it does this as well?
It's not as bad, but here's the problem with corn and wheat as well. In the 70s, they got even more. What's the word I'm looking for? Arrogant.
Okay,
that's a good one. I won't call them evil, but arrogant. That'll work. And they started doing what they called chemical hybridization. They would take the seeds, they'd expose them to chemicals to purposely mutate the seeds and the DNA. And so now you've got mutant corns and wheats in the mix as well. And then in the late 70s, early 80s, they started doing genetic modification as well. So, there's no telling with the corn how much has been genetically modified, which is the reason the Mexicans won't allow that material back into Mexico.
Isn't that amazing?
And the chemical hybridization is just as bad. I mean, we talk about, we know that in humans, certain chemical exposure leads to cancers. Well, it does in plants as well. And who's to say that material that's generated from that hybridization isn't carcinogenic? So, all in all, I like to say, if you can get away from all of those modern grains. I mean, I can tell you right now, when I was in grad school, my wife and I grew all of our food. As I became a wage slave, didn't need to anymore. So we cut back and only grew a few things. Well, over the last 4 years, we've gone back to growing almost all of our food. We can't go out to eat anymore, Mike, because we get sick.
That's right.
From the food. It's how ubiquitous the poison is in everything that's grown on these factory farms. I've been so stoked to hear RFK talk about let's get rid of this stuff. Let's get rid of this poison because it's killing us all.
And this is the thing and we'll wrap up with this, and we'll talk a couple of brands. When you hear RFK Jr. and Nicole Shanahan and our guest 2 weeks ago, when you hear Joel Salatin talk about this stuff, They're not saying this from the point of view that, well, I represent this company that makes this product. They're saying this from the point of view of that it doesn't have to be this way. And there are people that are profiting from basically sickness and death. It was just discovered yesterday, by the way. I'm just going to drop this in quickly. I didn't do a lot of research on it, but I did see a couple of people that I respect, including Casey and Callie Means, republish and retweet this. You know what they're finding out? One of the side effects of Ozempic is, and these bastards never studied it, muscle deterioration. So it's not bad enough you've got the Pfizer jab in you that's working on your heart muscle. Now, if you're jabbing yourself with Ozempic to try and lose weight, guess what? You're getting muscle loss in your heart, which is a giant muscle in your heart. So the solution is, well, we'll have Ozempic here. Basically, sell more stuff, but kill people faster. What's the solution? Well, Tracy has alluded to it, and so has Robert Francis Kennedy Jr., and he's been talking about this and suing these people for decades, and I believe he means business. I think Trump is going to turn him loose. These seed oils are bad for you. Don't eat them. Don't eat them. Maggie, what's the one you researched? I think, Tracy, avocado oil is okay? Is it okay? There are a couple of them. Is that the only one that won't kill you, is the avocado oil?
Avocado or olive oil is good.
Okay, olive oil is still good. Okay, but you don't want this crap, this Crisco stuff, this Frymax stuff in the restaurant. That's going to kill you. That has that vegetable content in it. So what you want to do is you want to try to get away from that wherever it's possible. If you're going to eat out and you wean yourself off of this, you're going to get sick.
Yeah.
You are going to get sick if you eat something that is fried in that seed oil, I can tell you. So you want to wean yourself off of that. Now, let's talk about things that folks can do at home immediately. What can you do at home? The first thing you can do is stop feeding your family this garbage. If you've got gold medal flour, and this is not a knock against the gold medal company, because they will come around once we do away with this. If you've got whatever, Pillsbury, gold medal, whatever, the King Arthur, doesn't matter what the brand is, don't use it anymore. Get rid of it. Give it to a homeless shelter. You may just have to eat it and throw it away. You mentioned Hayden Flour Mills. There's another one in Montana, right?
Yeah, I've not used them before, but I've seen them, heard good things about them, but I haven't personally used that.
Okay, Hayden Flour Mills is a wonderful company. It's family owned and operated. In 2008, they started in the desert in Arizona, in the cold tundra desert in Arizona. And they, the dad said, well, I want to see if I can grow pre-Mexican agriculture project heirloom wheat. And he did. And he grew the, is it Sonoma?
Sonoma.
Yeah,
Sonora.
He grows 4 kinds, and now 15 years later, it's a growing thing because more people like us are finding out about it. This is all we use, folks. We use Hayden Flour Mills bread flour. We use Hayden Flour Mills all-purpose flour to bread anything in. We use Hayden Flour Mills semolina if you're going to make your own pasta. And they even have an artisan bread formula, and they have a pizza dough formula. So no matter what it is, so the first thing, and you don't have to use Hayden Mills. I'm just telling you, they advertise if you got celiac problems, if you got gluten intolerances, give our flour a try. They don't guarantee it, but they encourage, try it, bake something with it, and then try it and see if your body can tolerate it. This is a step that you take. Now, if you find out that this is good, and I think this is ultimately a win-win for everyone, well, this puts us back in the kitchen like we used to do, making our own breads. It's fine to buy bread from someone. I'm not saying that there aren't great bakers out there. They're just using the wrong product. Ultimately, if RFK Jr., when the science comes in, which a lot of it already exists, and this wheat stuff is evaluated as well, because I've heard him talk about that he doesn't. All he eats is imported Italian wheats now. He won't eat any of that because it makes him sick too. What needs to happen is that the general government of the United States, and if this has to happen state by state, it should, but you got to get it off the continent. It needs to be banned. This crap needs to be banned. It's inhuman. It's killing people, shortening people's lives. It's making us all unhealthy. It needs to be banned. If we can ban DDT because it was doing this or that or the other, and you can ban CFCs or what have you, you can ban freaking wheat. But you have to do this. You're going to have to phase it in because the farmers are going to have to learn how to grow this stuff. And then you're going to have to, from that wheat, you got to get the seeds, right? So a company like Hayden Mills, maybe has a side business with just providing the seeds.
Yep. Well, and the nice thing is, when they go back to the heritage grains, you don't have the patents on the seeds. So now the farmers can keep their seeds from the previous year and replant them.
And it won't get sued by Monsanto.
Exactly.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, there are lawsuits over this. By the way, another thing that this will have an impact on beer.
Yep.
Beer's made with wheat, malted wheat and barley. You go back to, and this is why Mexican beers taste different. This is why Italian beers and German beers taste different, because they're made with that. Same thing with whiskeys. Why does a Scotch whiskey taste so much different than a bourbon? Why does a Irish whiskey taste so much different than an American whiskey? Because it's made with heirloom wheat. There's none of this glycemic crap in it. Tracy, okay, so we've given you some alternatives. Again, Maggie, what's the name of the company, that brand of wheat, that pasta that we get? Oh, you just put it in there. Can you, just for our listeners out there? RINO. It's out of Baton Rouge. The company's out of Baton Rouge that distributes it. There's a company in Baton Rouge, but that is one. What's the one in Baton Rouge? We'll put it in the notes under the video. All right, Tracy, we're gonna have to wrap this up. We're just about out of time. Some final words.
Well, I'm gonna leave you with a trivia question.
Okay.
And that is, how did white Sonora wheat get to the American continent? I'll give you the answer real quick. It was Father Keno. He brought it over to make communion hosts.
I did not know that. So it had a holy purpose.
It did.
And bright Sonora wheat is one of the wheats that you can get from Hayden Mills.
Yeah.
Hayden Flour Mills. All right. We will put all of what we talked about and links to everything in the show notes below this on the YouTube. Tracy, as always, thank you for the great research. I can't believe that that this was only 3 months for you. I thought you knew this for 13 years.
No. That's one of the advantages of getting a traditional PhD. They teach you how to learn things.
Imagine that.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks to Tracy Stoller for being our special guest. Folks, I encourage you to pursue this. Again, we're not trying to demonize the companies. It is what it is, okay? That wheat is in the supply. There is an alternative. And as a company like Hayden Flour Mills becomes more and more popular, others will go like, well, we can make a buck at this. It's important, though, make sure that you're getting heirloom pre-1950 or say, heirloom wheat products. And you also look for the corn. If you're into drinking bourbon, I can tell you at least one still out of Austin, Texas. They claim that they only use 100% pre-Mexican agriculture project corn. So try all of that and let us know. Please, in the comments on YouTube especially, folks, share this video with everyone you know, including Robert Francis Kennedy Jr., because we want him to know there are other people out here that are talking about this. That's going to wrap up this episode of Free Farm Friday here on the Mike Church Show. I want to thank all of you for listening and for watching. Remember, you can download this on every episode as a free podcast at crusadechannel.com. If you enjoyed our show and you like our work, support us. Become a Founders Pass paying member today, crusadechannel.com/offer, or just make a one-time donation at crusadechannel.com/donate. You can also shop in our store, shop.mikechurch.com. See you next time here. I think we'll have a Free Farm Wednesday show. Next Wednesday, we'll do all things turkey Bike shirts for Tracy Stoller and Maggie O'Connell, our producers, saying so long, God bless you, and Merry keep you, and try and eat healthy and American.